us here on a Sea of Spears Sunday and escaping the slow motion apocalypse of 2020. It's nice to be in an upbeat, cheerful setting like Westeros. So we appreciate you coming by to join us for the imaginary bloodshed of today's big final showdown between the young scions of House Nymaryen and the gathered armies of the nefarious Vulture King. Real quick.
Boo him, boo.
Yeah, screw that guy. You are not experiencing technical difficulties. Felicia is currently here. She's just going to stay off cam for a little bit. She's on call, so she might have to leave suddenly for work, and we figured it'd be less disruptive this way. So if she does have to jet, we'll cover for it, and everything's just fine. Other than that, of course, let's go ahead and do some introductions. So our plan today is to kick things off basically as soon as we go in character, like start of the battle type of thing, with that cool montage scene of all the grim-faced troops and the Lady Bela getting to give a cool speech or whatever. We're just gonna cut like right to that. So as we do our player and character introductions, why don't you also just kind of describe like the unit that you're with and a little something that your character might be thinking right now. Let's start with Felicia, in case she does have to leave early. We'll get her out of the way first.
I'm Felicia. I'm playing Rhaena Nymaryen, heir to the House Nymaryen. Today, I'm not commanding all of our troops because that is not my gig. That is something my sister Payla does. So, but I am attached to a unit of cavalry, and I will be in, as such, commanding, like sub-commanding. I think I don't remember the phrase. It doesn't matter. I'll be helping. That's what I'm doing. I'm helping. And what I'm worried about, what Rhaena is worried about today, is what I said to Rusty like yesterday, which is, God damn it, Rusty, don't you kill Barrick. I said that to him 4 times in a row. So
She did. She was very worried about Lord Beric Dondarrion, her boyfriend.
I mean, can't kill him until Thoros Amir is here. So
yeah, I was gonna say canonically, like we're a bit early.
Unless someone wants to convert to the Red God real fast. Sorry, Felicia, go ahead.
And that's my biggest concern. I mean, as a PC, I feel some measure of control over what happens to me. So, but I have, like, not even the sheerest, little, faintest veneer of hope that I can control what happens to him. So, so that's where I am. So she's concerned about that, but also concerned about, like, performing well and bringing glory to the house, etc. Yada yada. Now, for me, I'm going to Luke because he is commanding one of the other cavalry units, so that's my theme right now.
Quickly cutting in before Robert starts, the specific cavalry unit is
The
Felicia.
Brigands.
Right, she's with one of the cavalry units from your banner house, so it's technically a Nymaryen unit, basically, and so is Luke. So I just wanted to like single those two out because we do have NPCs leading a bunch of other cavalry units, but like yours are under sibling control. So it's kind of a position of prominence for both of you being, assigned to your cavalry units. All right, now go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, my name is Robert, as stated. I am playing Lucaris. He is the third oldest of the siblings, the oldest son, and he is in command today of the Nymaryen cavalry. And he is riding back and forth, inspecting them. It is Gluten armor, which we can get into a little bit more later, and could not be more proud at the moment. And we can go on to our youngest sibling before we get to our general. If Adam would like to go.
I was gonna say the general. No.
Before we get to the general, sorry.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I got very confused there. I was going, no, I am not in charge. Don't look at me. I'm Ash. I play Adam Nymaryen, the youngest of the 4 siblings. and I am going to be attached to a unit of archers, along with one of our cousins, I believe. And I think Adam's very conscious that kind of all eyes are on us just now, so we have to be inspiring and great leaders. So he's thinking about what he's going to say to the unit to get them fired up and make sure that they are brave in battle. Because just because we're kind of further back doesn't mean that we're not important. And he's also going, don't you dare die, Oris, or I will come into the afterlife to get you back.
That's pretty fair. Specifically, Adam is positioned in the kind of the center of the archer line, with Prince Oberyn Martell overseeing a unit of archers on one side, and nominally Elia Sand, one of the sand snakes, on the other, with Obara Sand kind of connecting the lot of them. But yeah, so you're flanked by a sand snake on one side and the red viper on the other.
I feel very safe.
But they've both kind of conceded command to you. So, that's pretty cool. So yeah, it's overseeing the long-range fire support of House Nymaryen. And that only leaves Erica. So Erica, what's up? How's it going? May have a nice, relaxed couple of days?
It's not been the most relaxing, I'd say. Hi, I'm Erica, and I play Bela Nymaryen, and I'm the younger twin in our house, and I am the general for this Southern Army. It's sort of a collaboration of a lot of different houses in the region, and houses that wouldn't normally be together. And you'll hear me talk a little bit more about that in a bit. In the morning, on this day of the big battle, Bela is in a serious mood, more so than the rest of the family has probably seen her before. Like, she's very martially focused and very purposeful in her combat style, which is normally very free and open and sort of dancing and quick movements and very flashy, flourishy. This morning she's very intense and maybe stiff by comparison to her normal self. She's not ever faced battle before like this. She's been in combats by herself, facing against another opponent many, many times. She's very comfortable there. This is different. She's had a lot of teaching in this area. She's read a lot, which is unusual for Bela. She doesn't read all that much, but for military strategy, she's read a good amount. She's had a lot of strategic mentorship from her grandfather. She's learned a lot from Aunt Elia and Sir Bridington. She has studied quite a bit on the histories of Westeros, but studying it and hearing about it isn't the same as doing it, and that's where her mind is. Like, this is going to be a big test for her, and there are a lot of people counting on her, and so every single thing that she does today is going to impact her house, the other houses that are represented here, the sort of the fate of the region, as well as the lives of the small folk in the army, as well as the people in the village of Kingston that we're defending. So like, these things are just like circling in her mind of, she needs to do this right. She needs to be an effective leader so that all these different cogs can work together instead of working against each other in order to function. So she's sort of like very serious and focused, and probably comes off as angry and stern right now. So she is getting dressed in a gambeson before the battle, getting some food, and getting ready to put on the rest of her armor.
Okay.
And that's where she is as we start the day.
Yeah, there's a different level of responsibility with being in charge of an army and defending someone's home and et cetera, compared to skirmishes with bandits.
Mhm.
You know, a couple dozen people on one side or the other is one thing, but going up into hundreds and going up into thousands, it doesn't have quite as much room for flash and bravado
Yeah.
as maybe most of Bela's contests to date.
Also consider this, being the younger twin that she likes to joke around about a lot. That actually comes with not having the weight of the house on her shoulders, like, ever, really, right? Like, she jokes about it and plays it off and such, but, like, she's kind of happy that, you know, Raina has more of that housely responsibility where she could, like, brush off a lot of those sorts of lessons when she was young. But this part is, like, the part where she doesn't get to brush this off. This is her role for the family, and it's something that she's never had to, like, actually do before. So she's eager and determined to get this right, but a bit heavy with the weight of everything surrounding it.
Pretty understandably so, and I think everyone would be a little more worried if she wasn't. Like if Bailey was like, anyway, let's go do this thing. Where's some
That's
wine?
cool.
Like,
YOLO!
So, we've got the PCs all nestled snug in their units, except for Bela, who is kind of overseeing the whole mess of things. And she's got an assortment of riders and squires coming back and forth to relay messages and to give orders for her and that sort of thing. We also have some NPCs, of course, that are embedded in a few places. We already mentioned, of course, the Red Viper of Dorne, Prince Oberyn Martell, is with some archers, kind of there to protect Adam, kind of there to not be on the front line because he got chewed up pretty bad in a fight just a few days ago, and this was his way of kind of bowing out of the front lines gracefully. There is Sir Miles Mooton, who is sorry, one second. Miles Manwoody, the brother of Lord Manwoody here at Kingsgrave, who insists he has recovered enough from his kidnapping and torture, but he is with the final of the House Bridington / House Nymaryen cavalry, the green unit that's kind of staying in reserve. He is staying in reserve with them, but he's going to give them a little extra bite if the poop hits the fan. We have, of course, young Lord Edric Dane, overseeing the Knights of Starfall, who have come from House Dane to serve him, despite the fact that he's, 13 or 14 years old. He is still the Lord of Starfall, so they weren't going to let him come into battle alone. Escorting him, in a way, is a cavalry unit from House Swan in the Stormlands that is nominally being led by Sir Oris the Aurochs, who Edric kind of wanted to hide in the shadow of. In this fight, you would feel a little bit better with Oris doing the personal heavy lifting type of stuff. So those two, the kind of biggest and smallest of the named and individually statted NPCs, are going to be kind of co-commanding a double unit of cav. We have, of course, Lord Beric Dondarrion of Blackhaven, who's getting the occasional concerned look from the Lady Raina Nymaryen. He is leading the cavalry from his home there in House Nymaryen. The infantry of House Nymaryen are being supported by the Lady Alysain Mormont of Bear Island. She is standing on her own 2 feet with her plucky squire, little Robert Frey, at her side. And they're going to be fighting from foot. And so is Sir Balin Swan, who is likely casting a few concerned glances at Lady Balin Nymaryen. He is going to be overseeing the House Swan infantry that are kind of the core of the foot troops here in this Southern Alliance. And joining him in overseeing infantry is Sir Garrus Drinkwater, who is a banner knight in service to House Ironwood that House Nymaryen and a very few of their allies know has been behind this rebellion slash revolt slash brigandry. But Sir Garrus doesn't seem to know that. So you've got some people keeping an eye on him a little bit, but he and the troops from House Drinkwater are still here on the field of battle and have shown no signs of anything except an earnest good faith effort. Which brings us, the word effort, to the final named NPC here on the field of battle, and that is Sir Edwin Wynn, who is a bannerman to House Manwoody right here in Kingsgrave, who lost his wife to the Vulture King's brigands in recent weeks. And House Nymaryen was able to coax him out of his tower and back into the service of House Manwoody here in their hour of need. But in exchange, he and his axemen, who are riding on horseback and wielding these kind of faintly oversized axes, they've insisted on leading the charge. They are going to be the vanguard of the Southern Alliance. And there was really no arguing with Sir Edwin on that front. So you've got a pretty diverse array of grizzled combat veterans, of legendary combat veterans in the case of the Red Viper, and you've got a lot of lords that are used to leading armies against Dornishmen, but that are now actually listening to a Dornish woman instead. So this alliance of Stormlanders and Dornish folk is a pretty rare occurrence, but there's no mistaking that a similar alliance, if less legal and less formal and less recognized, is the case opposite you on the field of battle this morning. Sure enough, there is a force of over 1,000 that is amassed against you. It is a milling horde of every brigand and bandit in Dorne, and half of them from the Stormlands. But there's no mistaking that some of them don't look to just be brigands and bandits, judging by the equipment that they're wearing or the horses that they're riding. You see several hundred archers, and you're not sure, but you think there's a familiar flash of red hair standing amidst the amassed enemy bowmen. You've got brigand rabble, kind of like you would expect to see, and like some of you have clearly already run into this week, wearing at best, like, chainmail, ringmail type of stuff. But their numbers are swollen, several hundred more than you were given to expect in this matter. So they're a raggedy bunch, wearing, loose Dornish desert clothes over the occasional oiled suit of chainmail and the like. But there's lots of those. And then you see what look to be more professional soldiers. They may be deserters that have been gathered together. They may just be more experienced bandits. Given the training some of these bandits were clearly getting from the Butcher, some of them are more disciplined than you would expect, but also better equipped. And you see rows of what look like perfectly well-trained spearmen standing in clean ranks that aren't terribly different than the ranked postures of your own fighting men here on this side of the field. And then on either flank, milling around. You have units of light horsemen on the side of Jonathan Sand, the Vulture King. Those iconic Dornish riders that everyone fears, that are wearing lighter garb than your traditional Westerosi knight, but many of whom are also equipped with bows or spears for some ranged skirmish-style combat from their light, quick mounts. And you do see several dozen knights, just straight-up knights. You don't know if they're hedge knights down on their luck, if they are deserters from House Dane, if they are, just bandits that killed a knight and took his armor. But there's no mistaking the heavier war horses and the heavier armor that seem to be kind of the core of the Vulture King's army. So, House Nymaryen absolutely has their work cut out for them today, here in this big, kind of sweeping battle scene as the cameras are slowly panning across the lines of troops on both sides. Numbers-wise, in terms of simply bodies on the battlefield, he actually has a larger army than you. You know that you've undercut his leadership this week, and that several of his lieutenants and captains have been killed. But just in terms of bodies, and boots on the ground, the Vulture King has amassed a larger mob of rabble than your Southern Alliance. You can't help but wonder that would necessarily have been the case if House Caron and House Fowler had made it here in time to join you. So you are still missing some allies due to Stormlander and Dornish squabbling. They're told they're on their way, and they've told you that they promise they'll sweep up, as the Vulture King runs. But it's hard not to miss them when you look out at a battle line that is broader than your own. So Bela, right before this battle kicks off, and before trumpets are about to blow and all that sort of thing, traditionally, here in Westeros, there's supposed to be an attempt at a parlay and that sort of thing. That is kind of the first step in a battle. Is an attempt going to be made to communicate with the Vulture King and set any sort of terms or get your eyes on your opponent?
Yes, yeah, for a number of reasons. For those that you just mentioned, being able to size up the forces a little bit better, being able to maybe learn potentially if there's some reasoning to what is going on here, and figuring out if I can identify exactly who the Vulture King is. We've heard rumors, right? Like, we have some pretty strong suspicions on who it is, but we can at least confirm with this. And also, if it is who we think he is a knight and is afforded those sort of traditions that are expected in Westeros. And even though Bela does not care for brigands whatsoever, she knows that this is being recorded in history and will do the traditional parlay beforehand so that no one can speak ill of her house for not doing such a thing. Quick question though, who typically rides forward for the parlay? Is it just me, or do I get to bring a retinue?
Yeah, it's absolutely normal to bring a handful of people with you. Like, nominally, in textbook perfect Westerosi fashion, it would be like the maester of the house acting as like a steward, like if they didn't have a steward, and then the lord of the house, probably whoever is the second in command of the army, stays back in case there's perfidy afoot, but another lord or two, maybe a couple of squires. So it's not unheard of for there to be 5 or 6 or 7 people that would kind of ride out to meet the opposite number. In theory, it's meant to be a last call for peace, just like kind of formal duels in real life, where like you're supposed to bring your seconds to try and talk shit over one last time, before the fight. It's the same sort of thing is supposed to be expected here. But yeah, it's not uncommon for there to be 5, 6, 8 people that kind of trot out there. Yeah, so you can kind of bring whoever.
Okay. With that, I will bring our maester with us. I will bring Sir Lucaris with me. I will bring Lord Dondarrion. I will bring Sir Wynn with me. And Lord Dane. And
Okay. Lord Edric was riding to join Lord Barrick anyway as his squire.
Okay.
So he was like, I'm coming whether you invite me or not. He had
Good.
2 reasons to get to go. Sir Edwin refuses.
Okay. That's
You can see he's just sitting in his saddle, fingering his axe handle, breathing heavily, like visibly, like chest rising and falling under his armor, type of shit. You
That's
think
their
him refusing to go is him showing admirable restraint.
yes.
So he just gives an angry kind of toss of his head, and refuses.
Sister, if I may suggest, bring our brother. He is better with words than I am.
Okay. Adam, would you care to ride out with us?
certainly. Yeah. Adam will have had his horse nearby anyway, so yeah, he'll swing up on it and come along.
Raina, I would prefer you stay back as the heir, and just in case, I don't trust them completely. You know how I feel about bandits.
I do, and I shall.
So it's Bela, Adam, Barrick Dondarrion, and Edric Dane, and Maester Ferris. Is that correct?
Yes, I kind of glance over at a few of the other NPCs and see if anyone was making any sort of indication, please.
Did you want Luke to go with you or not?
I did ask you,
Okay.
so if
Yeah, I think
you're-
he was suggesting me as in addition to him.
that's what I thought too. I didn't.
Well, and that is what I intended. Rusty went off the group. I wasn't involved, and you agreed. I just wanted to make
Sorry.
sure all the same page.
You were in my mind as there, and so when you read off the list, you were already included.
Few extra words and no confusion,
Gotcha.
though.
I thought that you had said to take Adam instead of you. not in addition
Yeah, I
to-
realized
that
there
was
was
my-
ambiguity there, so.
All right, so we have 3 of the 4 young heirs to House Nymaryen, joined by Lord of Blackhaven, Lord Barrick Dondarrion, his squire and legally his peer, Lord Edric Dane of Starfall, and eager young Maester Ferris atop his pony. Maester Ferris, to the surprise of very few, has a book out and is scribbling furiously in it. He is, as the troops were initially arrayed, he's staying about 10 feet away from Bela and behind her, atop his pony, with his little book, and he's scribbling things. He's probably drawing the battlefield and where the troops seem to be arrayed, and that sort of thing. There are Maester's tents set up and ready, several hundred yards back, so he hasn't been ignoring the other duties of a Maester in order to focus on his excitement to play field historian, but he's very excited to be playing field historian. So he is scribbling in his book as the lot of you go riding slowly up front, under let's see. Who's gonna carry the banner? You guys have a big fat banner of House Nymaryen, and
Look,
then you should
carry it.
technically also be carrying a banner of House Manwoody, because you are here in service to House Kingsgrave in theory. So we've got 2 banners to be carried.
I'm fine to carry a banner.
Luke, would you
Okay, then.
also carry one?
Yes, if I will carry our colors if we need it.
You should take the Nymaryen
Alright.
one, the Manwoody one.
Adam, with your strength being your words, maybe somebody else should carry the actual banner.
Alright. I mean, I can talk while holding a banner, Luke.
You will be talking from an air of authority, however, if you aren't the one physically holding the flag.
Fair enough.
So, does the Manwoody banner get handed off to Lord Barrick or Lord Edric Dane?
Lord Berg.
Okay. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I'll see who looks keenest and hand it to them.
So, the only pair of knights on the field are the ones symbolically carrying the duty and honor of being here by carrying the banners of the, for lack of a better term, the aggrieved houses, particularly House Manwoody, who has been under attack all this time. And you are joined by a scribbling maester, a wide-eyed young lord, and by Adam the Archer of tournament fame. You ride towards midfield slowly, so as to make it clear that this isn't some super sneaky cavalry charge of a half dozen.
Our 4-person charge has got them.
And soon
That'll show
enough,
them.
you see a few riders come ambling out in your direction. Ambling is the exact right term. There doesn't seem to be a clear organization to it, so much as one rider kind of starts out, a few but a few seconds later, another rider from the same unit, you actually kind of can see him shrug if you're watching at the right moment, and decides to ride along with, and then from another unit halfway across the field, on a lean, kind of bastard-bred Dornish sand steed. It's a very, skinny and sleek horse, but probably not of the finest pedigree. A red-haired archer emerges, giving her horse the spurs to catch up. And soon, you have a trio of
Rusty,
horses.
for no reason, how close is the nearest river? It's pretty far, right? Or is it right here?
Pretty far. Pretty far.
Literally the one that got away.
She shall not be swimming away.
I was naked. Yeah.
You might maybe
All
refresh.
strong. Memorable though. I'm not naked today. I'm in armor.
Yes, we're all in armor, dear.
For some of us, it's unusual apparently.
Well, I mean, yeah.
No, Luke is dressed in his finest fucking armor, so.
So, the trio that rides out to meet you, you of course recognize the Red Rose, or the Red Thorn, or the Rose Thorn. She's got an assortment of names about being beautiful and prickly, and this flaming red hair that you last saw glistening in the waters of the River Ironwood and twinkling in the moonlight as she was paddling away from you with a couple arrows left in a couple of bellies, as I recall, as she narrowly escaped your nighttime attack on her bandit camp. It may be gratifying to see that she is sporting a few bandages still, and some of her exposed flesh is still kind of purpley bruised. So it looks like she absolutely did not escape unscathed, but she's in better shape than the other lieutenants that you guys met this week.
They did.
And she doesn't seem to be cowed by her near miss. Maybe that sort of thing is pretty normal for bandits. You also recognize what is clearly a knight, and this was the first rider that came out to meet you. This guy is in, full, castle quality plate mail from head to toe, and he's actually wearing a knightly tabard of a house, but you notice that it's the backside of the embroidery. So it looks like he's just flipped the tabard inside out as some sort of symbolic turncloak type of thing. But he is wearing the colors of High Hermitage, the cadet branch of House Dane. The major House Dane is the Danes of Starfall. High Hermitage is where Gerald Dane is lord as the landed knight of High Hermitage. And you do remember that from what you heard, Jonathor Sand left the service of House Dane of Starfall to go serve at High Hermitage sometime before leaving. But this can't possibly be Jonathor or the Vulture King. This knight has those classic Dane features of that pitch black hair and those eyes that are about as purple as yours. And he looks basically like Edric Dane plus about 30 years. He's got those Dane features, but it certainly isn't somebody your age that is a bastard of Robert's Rebellion. This man looks like a veteran of Robert's Rebellion. And Adam, as the bookishest of the Nymaryen siblings,
Just call me a nerd.
you remember that this can't be the Lord of High Hermitage. He's too old to be Sir Gerald, or Gerald, excuse me. I haven't decided how to pronounce the G in Gerald, like the normal way or like the hard G to make it sound more fantasy. But anyways, the Dark Star. This is clearly not him. He is too old for that. But you do remember that the Dark Star had an uncle, Sir Alfric Dane of High Hermitage, that was being, the brother of the landed knight, did not stand to inherit. But this fellow looks to perhaps be that, with the quality of the armor, those strong Dane features, and he looks to be early mid-40s, which pegs to about the age that you would expect. So you suspect this is Sir Alfric Dane of High Hermitage, kind of at a glance. And then the rider that left third, as though he needed a moment to decide whether to come or not, is a gentleman of approximately the age of the twins. Looks to be about 20. His skin is the sun-bronzed skin of somebody born and raised in Dorne. You either tan or you die, or you stay inside all the time, right? And this is somebody that has been outside and has tanned quite a bit. He also has the dark hair of several houses that could be Dornish or Dane-style hair, but his is cropped very short. Think of the hairstyle of Sir Barristan Selmy or mid-season's Jaime Lannister. That short, cropped kind of professional haircut is how this guy has his cut. It's got a few little curls on it, but it's basically like a little short Caesar cut, hair out of the way type of thing. He's got gray eyes, little bit of stubble, but it looks like he's not your stereotypical bandit dude with like long raggedy hair, and he doesn't have like the long scraggly beard of the butcher, and it's not, dyed red or maybe natural red. You couldn't find a polite way to ask her of the red rose. Just doesn't seem to really stand out compared to the lieutenants and stuff that you've seen, but you can't help but notice that this Knight of High Hermitage and even the bold Red Rose, the Bandit Queen, they both stop further away and cast glances over their shoulder, waiting for this third rider to appear. And as he ambles up the last few steps, like you think maybe he's enjoying that everyone has to wait for him, he holds out an arm and a buzzard. Like in real life, they're just called a common buzzard. They're not the weird, like, hairless ones with the ugly necks and stuff. Just kind of looks like a falcon or a hawk. But it's a golden buzzard of Dorn. Swoops down and lands on his wrist. And then he gives a little laugh and tosses his arm, and the bird circles away overhead with what you think might be, like, protectively. Because you feel a little unnerved every time the shadow of that bird kind of passes by. And you wonder about all the myths that Northmen tell about people that have the ability to talk to animals. And you think about the Vulture King as a title, and you wonder how much spying you could do with armies of buzzards and vultures. And
it's definitely a power move.
so it's a little unnerving. But eventually that third rider ambles up between the other two on a humble Roundsey. It's not a particularly well-bred horse or anything. And he's wearing pretty heavy-looking armor. Maybe not quite full plate, but it's also professional, kind of castle-forged make. Definitely reminiscent of the armor worn of that Knight of High Hermitage. But the only color that this third rider has on is a bold red sash that you've seen repeated time and again on a lot of these bandits. Just a 4 or 5 foot length of red silk tied around his sword arm and fluttering in the breeze as he sits on his horse and looks at you with an almost unreadable expression. He's not smirking or anything like that, but you get the feeling that he doesn't have high hopes of a parley accomplishing anything. So he's not openly mocking what's going on, but he doesn't seem to have on his most earnest and optimistic expression about the day ending without bloodshed.
That makes 2 of us, and probably the whole group.
Yeah, that's not the purpose of this particular exchange.
Yeah.
Look, we give a polite nod to the Red Rose who got away. Just kind of I see you're alive. There you go.
I see the assassination failed.
She does not respond immediately. In fact, she's rather pointedly not looking at you.
Deliberately not looking at you. I'm not looking at you, pretty boy.
That's just the worst thing in Luke's world is to blank him.
It is.
I mean, A, don't call me out like that. B, she doesn't know that.
Yeah.
So for a few moments, as the horses are done kind of closing the gap, all you hear is the scratching of Mr. Ferris's quill on his parchment, and a sad little sigh from Lord Edric Dane, riding at your side.
I take it that's him, Ned?
Yes. Oh, John. And he just, I won't say crumbles, but he slumps in his saddle a way that he wasn't a moment ago after being invited to his first parley. And you notice that the rider in the middle is pointedly not looking at Ned. Perhaps he's ashamed. Perhaps he's worried his facade will slip. Who knows? But it looks like everyone is waiting on someone else to talk.
Yeah. I'll kind of like let the awkwardness hang for like a few moments, and then I'll speak up.
My cruel sister.
I'm Bela Nymaryen. I'm the general of this southern army. Who are you and what brings you to this field today?
Just as Jonathan Sand is getting ready to answer, he gets cut off very stiffly and formally by the older knight at his side. Who's this? I am Sir Alfred Dane, once of High Hermitage, now sworn to the service of the Vulture King and Lord of the Vulture's Roost, Jonathan Sand. And it sounds every bit as knightly and official as any of the introductions that you heard in King's Landing a couple months ago. This is a knight that genuinely believes what he just said. And there's like no mistaking that sort of honor-bound earnestness in his voice.
And why are you here today? Why do you bring an army to this field?
Sir Alfred Dane opens his mouth to speak, and Jonathan Sand just gives him about the same gesture as he gave his bird that he sent away. We brought an army for reasons you well know. There's a dispute with the formal powers in Dorne as to whether or not I have the right to claim the Vulture's Roost, to repair it, and to make good use of it. And so I have hired and recruited and assembled others that are also looked down upon by House Nymaryen and House Nymaryen and House Baratheon. And we seek to stake our claim in the only language Westeros understands.
The slaughter of innocents.
By waging war.
I don't think that the innocent people that you've killed got a chance to fight back, did they?
I'm not sure just how many innocent people you think that I have killed. But even if I have, you know I'm not alone in lords and knights and mistreating small folk in that way.
Perhaps not, but your grievance with your liege lord is no excuse to take it out on the innocent.
Every lord in Westeros takes it out on anyone that rides through their territory. I have done little more than that by claiming the Vulture's Roost and the lands near it. I have taxed the occasional merchant, I have sought allies throughout Dorne, and my claim has still been refused. So, here at Kingsgrave, where House Manwoody placed their seat in celebration of killing a king of the Reach, I seek a more stable claim to power and to be taken seriously. In that spirit, I'll offer you lot this opportunity to pack up your army and leave. You can have a full day to get House Manwoody out of Kingsgrave. I will occupy the castle until such time as the Vulture's Roost can be repaired and made livable, and no one else need be harmed.
Obviously, we will not accept that.
Well then, those very same innocent small folk will die today against your steel. And he leans over just a bit in the saddle, just off to one side a little, and the camera watching him refocuses over his shoulder as the parley goes blurry, and off in the distance you see that the heart of his infantry line, where there are several hundred more bodies than you were given to expect, are small folk. And a few of them are waving the banner of House Wynn. And he gives that a moment, just hopes that you lot see what he wanted you to see. He says, "You'll see that the people of Lowfields have already chosen to join me, and we occupied Wynn Tower after it was left so terribly vacant the other day. My army is moving south and claiming land as we go. We would like Kingston and Kingsgrave next. You're in our way."
You shall not have it.
You talk as if you have a right to the land that you are claiming. This is not so. Just like any other thief and brigand, you attempt to take what you desire, not which that you have gotten through proper means, through earning it.
I seem to remember Robert Baratheon claimed an entire kingdom that way.
Oh yes, because keeping the Mad King would have been a wonderful situation.
Your grandfather thought so, or have I misread my history books?
And just so everyone's aware, Luke is very purposely not saying shit. Because last time he did not help the situation at all.
Those actions are in the past. People have chosen the sides that they are on. Today, you have chosen to start a war that will cost the lives of many. I will see to it that you are defeated here today so that no one else must die for your attempt to steal lands from these houses.
He just lets out kind of a disappointed but not surprised flavor of sigh. But then you hear Lord Edric Dane. The jangle of spurs, and his horse trots forward just a few steps, and it is high-strung as fuck. You guys recognize Adam in particular. You recognize a nervous and tense rider and what they do to a horse. And Edric is barely keeping his shit together right now. And you see him just clutching the reins of his horse as the horse is kind of starting to slide sideways and high step with nervous energy. And young Lord Edric Dane just says, "John, what are you doing? You don't know that you're supposed to be Lord of Vulture's Roost or any place else. There's no proof that Lord Manwoody was your father. Gerald could have made the whole thing up. There's no proof." And then he gets cut off by Jonathor saying, "There's no proof otherwise.
Luke raises an eyebrow.
More populated lands have been claimed on thinner evidence. Even if I am just one of Bobby's bastards and some mewling orphan created by a war that started before I was born, no one's using Vulture's Roost, and I should be able to claim it as such. And since it was Kingsgrave that first amassed an army to stop me from doing so, I'm going to take their home, as they tried to take mine."
Tell me, the peasants that you're about to have fight for you, do they know that they will almost certainly die? Or did you feed them stories about glory and victory that you can't possibly fulfill?
If they die, it will be to your steel, and because you lot stole their armor.
You brought them here.
Yes, just as you brought your
After-
small folk.
After you had their lady carved into pieces.
I did no such thing. And the man that did, I posted on the far end of my land until you lot killed him.
I think we're just trading a pointless argument about who did what to who. You may have had a legitimate grievance, but you have chosen to stake it in a way that we can't allow. This disruption is not good for Dorne, and it can't continue. If you will not stand down, then we have no choice to fight. But then, no choice but to fight.
I offered, you refused. I am an outlaw because I have attacked merchants passing through my lands. You lot attacked a caravan, bringing supplies to my army, and did nothing that my men have not done in the meantime. I tax people, you tax people. I have brought small folk to this fight, you have brought small folk to this fight. Why must I be the one that stands down instead of you?
Rusty, have we brought small folk to this fight?
Yeah, like your armies. Like that's all armies are, is just big ass numbers of small folk. They tend to be armed and equipped better, but you guys took the armor that he was going to use for those 3 units of peasant infantry.
I think if we were accusing you of that, you would say that that is simply what war is. Wouldn't you?
You've brought people
We can
as
make-
I've brought people.
I mean, we can make you an offer of surrender for you to refuse if you want it to be fair.
We all know that whatever happens today, fairness will have little to do with it. No one is in my army because they were pressed into service. Men and women follow me, and he tosses his head to both sides, nodding at his 2 surviving lieutenants, because I asked them to, and they chose to. Can you say the same about everyone in your army?
Do the people of Wind Tower know what your lieutenant did to their lady?
They do.
And do
Do
they
you
think that
know
that was...
much? Do you know much about the Lady of Wind Tower, and how heavily they were taxing the people of Lowfields?
So you think that that is worth torturing, brutalizing, and murdering a woman?
She was not tortured. We attempted to kidnap her. It didn't work, and Maku the Black, as you may have noticed, was a zealous sort. But such a thing could be said for other women in other places.
Just because others do it doesn't mean that it's all right. You do know that.
But you have...
You clearly have...
Every
clearly...
history book in Westeros sets a precedent. Doesn't it, Maester? Doesn't it, learned lords and ladies? If Robert Baratheon can claim Westeros by steal, why can't I claim the Vulture's Roost and Kingsgrave? Kingsgrave itself is named after the murder of a king. Not in honorable battle, but in ambush. He gives a little smile, Dornish style. Of course, someone else doing it makes it all right. That's how Westeros works.
You criticize the Dornish while claiming to be one.
Do you deny that a king of the Reach was ambushed a few miles that way and slaughtered? Do you deny the Dornish style of warfare is one of, how was it phrased? Guerrilla tactics, stealth, and mishonorable conduct, which is out of character, a direct quote from the Invasion of Dorne history book, like the preamble of it, etc., etc.
I do not, but I take issue with the application of it to everyone. For example, for example, if we were only concerned with dishonorable conduct, we would not be having this conversation, right? I'm not trying to talk you out of your course of action. I just want to fully understand why and make sure that the last words that you wish to say are recorded for posterity.
And to make yourselves feel better for slaughtering the small folk to come. Yes?
Well, that's just war, isn't it?
Apparently so.
You said so yourself.
Good luck. We'll see how things look by high sun.
May your
and
God, may your gods have mercy on you.
Your
he,
gods.
he gives a tug of his reins and starts to turn his horse to leave. Last chances for any last barbs?
I mean, I think my parting words are sufficient.
He will do what he has to do, and we will do what we have to do. Warrior with who is just.
He tries to sting us by saying that we're responsible for him bringing small folk into this. But if he wasn't here to do that, then they wouldn't be here on the battlefield, and no one died.
Well, which is why I rather just thought it best to close it there. It wasn't going to go anywhere.
People will die today because of his desire,
Yes.
not ours.
And
Well,
he says this quietly, and we will do so under the orders of the usurper.
well, I mean, he's. It's like you're not wrong, Jonathan. You're just an asshole.
About this amount of time after they start to ride back, you hear a sword unsheath and a boisterous Stormlander curse from behind you, as you see Lord Beric Dondarrion going for his steel because Edric is riding off after the Vulture King and his lieutenants. Edric does not have a weapon out. He's just shouting, "John, what are you doing?" And the Vulture King stops and half turns his horse. He holds out a hand to stop Sir Alfric and the Red Rose from going for their weapons. And you can't hear what is said between the two of them. But they stop really close to each other. There's no denying that grabbing the 13 or 14-year-old Lord of Starfall and dragging him back to his lines would absolutely be a bit of a power move. But instead, before they turn and ride away, Jonathan Sand reaches out and tousles Edric's hair, and then turns and heads back towards his line.
Luke turns towards his own lines, kind of gives his horse a little giddy up, and rides back into formation.
Ned rides back to the small group of you as you're making your way back. Lord Beric is cussing him out something fierce. "Fool boy, you almost could have gotten killed on me holding this damn banner instead of being able to cut anybody down." In flustered paternal helplessness. But you can tell that Ned's just trying really hard not to cry.
Oh.
You know, like kind of, but like before we have to kind of go our separate ways, I'll kind of make sure to like get up alongside him and like give him like a squeeze on the shoulder and just kind of let him know that I see what he's going through and I'm here for him and he's gonna be okay.
He's not bad. He's just wrong.
No,
but he's not bad, Adam.
I understand that. I really, honestly, I really do. It's not that he doesn't have something there to address. It's the way he's choosing to address it. That's all it is. And if he won't listen to reason, there's not really anything we can do. But we've done our best to understand what was going on. And with any luck, we can end this as well as possible. All right? You're going to be all right. I promise.
He just frowns very, very deeply. and then straightens up in the saddle, squares off his shoulders, and tries to look lordly before heading back to the lines.
Yeah, I guess I'm just kind of prepared for, like, you can by all means come to my tent and fall apart later if you need to, but we need to do this now, kind of thing.
So, anything else that Bela has planned before the battle?
She'd address the troops.
Okay. So, Ash, go ahead and get your dice handy for some deciphering stuff.
Yeah. Right, so...
So, do we want to do speech first and then deciphery flashbacks? Or deciphery flashbacks and then speech? I will leave it up to you two.
Oh, I mean, I think probably deciphering flashbacks first, because I reckon speechifying is going to be a thing that we're all going to do a bit of, so have things in compartments.
All right then.
Short.
Mine is short, it's literally just like a paragraph, it's really short.
Oh Lord. We love you.
It's not, it's 16-point text, it's not like
It's
a paragraph.
18,000 words. It's not like I wrote a whole
Yeah,
piece on it.
No, it's only 184 words.
Ash,
That's it.
we love
Alright.
you. And we love teasing you. So please don't get upset.
I guess because I rise to it very easily. Right, so...
So as Adam is riding back to his lines, with some bags under his eyes, and his own particular brand of exhaustion, it's in part because he has had several late nights these last few days, and not for any fun reasons. It's because he has stayed up late with lamps and books, and has been working on deciphering what he can of the kind of coded battle plan / journal / etc. That was found several days ago. So let's bust out the cunning / decipher.
Yeah. Like I was going to enlist Maester Ferris where possible. Do I get any bonuses for his
Yeah.
help?
Give yourself a +2.
Awesome. Cool, so decipher. That looks very good actually. 14.
Okay. You were
Not
looking
bad.
for a challenging roll for a 9, so you have 1 extra degree of success.
Fine.
So, 2 times during this fight, and this goes right to you, Erica, as Bela, from the information that Adam is able to give you from the scribbles in the margins, etc., of this, twice during this fight, you basically have a free destiny point that can only be spent on on or against a warfare roll. Okay, so you can roll and keep 1 extra die on a warfare test on your side once, or you can take away a kept die on the other side once, if it's a time that it can be justified, right? So, round 4 of doing the same thing, somebody might not get that bonus, right? But if it's, on round 4 of your volley, switch to fire arrows, then maybe on the 4th round of doing the same thing. See what I'm saying? So, if you can spin it in a way that it makes sense, that you are able to go, haha, you son of a bitch, I read your book, right? So, twice, you can either have an extra die, take away a die, whatever combo you want. So, if you can make it make sense for it being some insider knowledge, you're good to go.
Okay,
Does that work?
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
that makes sense to me.
All right. So yeah, you were gonna get 1, but then the extra degree of success made it 2. So,
Second one.
there you go.
Second.
And yeah, as we all learned, destiny points can be a pretty big deal in this game. So yeah, especially with the number of leadership roles discipline rolls to get the troops to do stuff that could be a pretty big deal. We will see
Yeah.
if and when Bela decides to use them.
So, do I do a second roll because it's decipher and logic, or?
Just the one. I figured it'd be easier to keep it to a single roll.
Oh, I should have had another dice then, but it's okay. It would have been a bonus dice, and probably dropped anyway, so it's fine. It's
Yeah,
probably.
I don't think
see
it would have gotten you another degree of success, probably.
No.
So, okay, yeah.
It's probably fine. Okay. I misunderstood. Sorry.
No problem. And we're also kind of making this part up, so I might have been unclear on my end. But then we've got the staying up late, scribbling and writing things down, and talking to Bela first thing in the morning. Flashbacks taken care of. So I'm going to pass it to Erica to decide which of your lieutenants here, and we're just going to do player characters. I'm not going to give a speech for each NPC, though maybe Oris will get one.
Oh,
It'll just be,
What?
it'll be keep up.
Like heavy sigh.
Just
Well, this might as well happen.
follow Edric, not me, right? Something cool like that. But yeah, so Erica, you or one of your PC lieutenants that wants to, it's your call. Who is up to speechify the troops?
Okay, I think I'll go last. To keep last word for myself, and I'll start with Adam, if you're good with it,
Yay.
to go first.
I am good with it. Yeah.
Okay.
To set the stage just a little bit more for the archers, because you guys did have one more thing you accomplished. Your rows of archers do have some defenses propped up that you guys were able to work on a little bit during the week. So if it comes up, the archers all have +1 defense unless they move from where they are.
Okay.
So all 3 units of archers, you guys have some little trenches and some stakes and some defensive stuff going on there. So I'm
Let me
picturing,
just take a look at that.
no problem. So I'm picturing Adam kind of riding back and forth, like in front of that stuff, looking pretty cool. As this get ready to go.
Yeah, because he'll do that. I mean, he'll get off the horse to join them because he didn't bring his awesome bow for nothing. He didn't just take it out for air. But yeah, while making his speech, I guess he'll ride up and down the line. And yeah, he's really he's proper trembling, but tries to sound authoritative and tells them, Jonathan Sand wants us to fear him, but we will refuse to. A man who hides in the shadows, who preys on the vulnerable, who turns your kinsmen against one another, who murders innocent women and children, who does all these contemptible deeds from behind a moniker rather than his own name, that is a villain and a coward, not to be feared, but to be defeated. We see the banners of the enemy approaching, and soon now we will meet them face to face. I am resolved to live or die amongst you all. They may be greater in number, but while we stand together, none of them shall pass. And when this day of battle is ended, we will meet again in the 7 heavens or on the field of victory. We may not be charging into close combat with his forces, but we shall be as death from above to them. Send every arrow on swiftest wings into their ignominious hearts. Blot out the sky. Deprive them of its light before they perish. For justice, for Dorn, send those traitors to the 7 hells.
Yeah! Yeah!
Holding Heartpiercer in the air.
You hear an exuberant whoop from the nearby and listening in Elia Sand, instead of a snarky comment. And her troops and your troops, and the archers on your other flank, all let up some roars. Several of them are just stomping their feet on the ground instead of applauding. Not several, but many, dozens. So you've got this kind of earth trembling beneath you from the power of your speech type of vibe going. Let's go ahead and say that you will get a +1 to the total of your first warfare roll of the fight. Not +1 die, but still +1 to reflect their confidence in Adam the Archer and in having the Red Viper of Dorne and a Sand Snake overseeing them, and their confidence in Adam the Archer is no doubt all helping. So, yeah, do that.
Totally worth it.
Who is up next?
Raina, would you like to go next?
I hadn't planned a speech. I thought we were all part of your force.
You can say something to the knights, to the cavalry that you're with.
Yeah. You just go, yo, Barrett, let's bang after this.
Damn. Ash.
Sorry.
That was already given.
It's for the after party. Seriously, I thought it was all gonna be just Bela.
Yeah, you could
But I will
It's
look
okay.
at cavalry around me, and I have my cool helmet on, but it's open, you know. And all I'm gonna say is that I'm just gonna look at them and say, I am honored and proud to ride into battle with you today. And I'll see you on the other side. That's all I got because I wasn't prepared.
It's okay.
No bonus for that, but they don't like I'll go home.
We got it. We're leaving.
So nobody packs it up or anything. You've got that Valyrian blood, the air of authority, and the loyalty to House Nymaryen. It's certainly enough. They don't seem to have been expecting a fiery speech from Raina, the Ice Bitch of Dorne.
I'll take that.
I believe that makes Sir Lucaris up next.
So, as much as Adam set me up, Raina has kind of unset me up with her speech. So, Luke is riding back and forth. He's in his gleaming silver half-plate mail over the kind of dull metal mail in the deep red leather. His hair is blowing in the wind as he has his helmet off. And he is on his horse, which is covered in leather barding. And he's kind of riding back and forth. And he goes, I will not squander your time with fancy phrase or poetic prose. Instead, I will say this. Stay close. Watch each other's backs. If you are separated from the group, then look for me and rally. We will make our house proud. He pauses for a moment. And as for our opponent, if he is to be king of the vultures, then let us ready him for his subjects.
Oh, nice.
He's gonna raise his spear in the air.
Very
And
nice.
We'll go with a +1. So yeah, first warfare test you make of the session or of the battle, I should say. Go ahead and give yourself a +1 to the total.
Neat.
And that just leaves Bela.
Okay. So Bela is riding her new castle quality, or the superior quality horse. Her destrier, Midnight. Midnight is huge, powerful, and strong. He has light gray hair with a perfect black mane flowing down.
Don't kill this fucking horse.
Midnight is covered in Castle Forged chainmail. That is expensive as fuck, by the way.
Yes, it is.
It is bright, shiny silver, all up and down the body of the horse. On his head, there is segmented armor plates going down his head, leaving ample space for the mane to flow out from it. The saddles are red in color with like red and black adornments throughout the entirety of the armor. On top, Bela sits. She's wearing her very parade-friendly and very protective brigandine armor that she wore up in King's Landing, and it's that very stylized sort of like plates over each other, but it's not like plate mail. It's brigandine, so it's a little bit lighter than that, and it has her personal symbol on the front, which is the two dragons that are kind of like twisting around a central spear, kind of like a caduceus, if you're familiar with that symbol, but it's that with some dragons and a spear in the middle. She is carrying her helmet on the side, which is the very shiny silver with a very feminine face for a mask on her helmet. And it has a big plume of bright red, like a mane going down the back of it, reminiscent of a horse's mane. In her other hand, she's holding onto Sunfire, the Valyrian steel spear of her family. And she is riding back and forth around the forces as they have lined up on the field. 7 units of cavalry, 5 units of infantry, 3 units of archers, and 2 units of guerrillas. She takes time to pause in front of each of them as she's making her way around, giving them a glance of appraisal, encouragement, and affirmation before proceeding to the next. After visiting each of them in turn, she returns to the center, and in the loudest voice of a Dornish woman can give in the area, she addresses all that are within earshot. Today, all of us are here to stop the rampage and violent killings of the Vulture King as he has preyed upon our people. Many of us wouldn't normally be here with each other. We've come together from very different areas of Westeros. Dornish people, Stormlanders, and some even from more up north than that. She kind of like chuckles a bit with a smile. We don't normally get along all that well, but here we are today, together, fighting a menace who threatens all of us and our lives. But not just our lives, those of our families. They threaten our livelihoods, our homes, our ways of living. And you all have come here together, not just to defeat them, but in that struggle, you've come together. You've made friends. All of us here are fighting together. We are not separate. I've seen all of you interacting with each other. We're like family now, fighting together to rid ourselves of a violent and terrible plague that has befallen this land. All of you know this. Though I am here leading, I am also with you. My family is with you. People that I care about are here fighting with you. You will emerge today victorious because of this bond we have formed together. We will not let these murderers, these thieves, these brigands come into our homes to take what is ours from us. We will stop this today, and the glory of battle will be upon all of us, all of our houses, together, united in one force to defeat the Vulture King. And I raise my spear up into the air, and I'll say,
Yay.
glory to honor and victory.
Woo!
Do you rear back on your horse to look extra cool?
Yes,
All
she can do
good
that.
answer. There is thunderous applause. Infantrymen are banging their swords against their shields, or like smacking the butts of their spears into the ground. Archers are waving their bows overhead. You hear Lady Mormont just bellow at the top of her lungs, like louder than the infantry unit that she's with. There is an absolutely positive response to the troops who have seen the young scions of House Nymaryen come and go all week and come back bloody and, carrying the head of another lieutenant from the Vulture King. They've seen you guys working all week to do what you can to prepare, and they know that today is the day for them to pay that back. So you have absolute just thunderous applause. So what we're gonna do there for your speech, Bela, is at one point during the fight, you get one bonus die. Not the full kept die of the Destiny Point style, but not a flat +1 that you have to use on your first roll.
Okay.
So just at any point during the battle that you are giving a warfare test,
Okay.
or you can give that to somebody else making a warfare test as the leader. So if somebody else you
Gotcha.
think needs a little extra oomph, you can give them the bonus die instead. So,
Okay.
um,
Also,
with-
quick note, I forgot to mention, I'm wearing the cape that Adam had gotten for me to commemorate the trial by 7 in King's Landing. I forgot to
got
mention
his
it.
Has Luke got his on too?
Luke is just a 9, so yes.
and he's wearing a shirt and everything.
He's got armor, he's got a shirt on. He won't be baited into fighting naked this time.
All right then. With that, let's go ahead and take our break a little bit early, so we're not having to like start the fight and then go, all right, we'll be back in 10 minutes. So let's get our break out of the way a few minutes early, and we will see everybody back here in about 10 minutes for the Battle of Kingston.
It's a King's Grave.
All right, everybody, we are back from break, and we are ready for some bloodshed to commence, I do believe, because it is time for the Battle of Kingston, or the Battle of Kingsgrave, or the Battle of Lowfields, which is nearby, or just the Battle of the Southern Alliance, the peak of the War of the Vulture King.
I am pushing for the name War Vultures.
Okay.
Okay.
Because my notes already say that, and I don't want to rewrite them.
Basically, it's all up to Mr. Ferris as the one with the book.
True.
So we'll just have to see how that goes. A quick kind of disclaimer for viewers, whether watching live here on Twitch, hi everybody, or if you're gonna hit us up on YouTube later on.
Hi, everybody else.
Yeah, like hi everybody else.
Comment below on how we suck.
these rules can be a little wonky. We've already run into a few little quirky rule spots in just personal combat, and a lot of those issues are exacerbated in the larger combat. So what we're going to do today, though, is rules as written. The only possible exception we would make is if like a PC is going to die from like one single roll, right? Then we'll be like, all right, well, burn a destiny point, you're not dead, everything's fine. But yeah, we are going to run these rules as written. We are going to ignore the fact that one combat round is 1 minute, because if it comes down to it, we're not going to be like, yeah, the battle was over in 4 minutes, right? Like, that's not a very cool story. So we're going to be fuzzy on the scale of time at the end of all this. But we are otherwise going to go through step by step and run this battle with rules as written from Chapter 10, Warfare, in the Song of Ice and Fire RPG. So, if we run into a few wonky things that are difficult to make sense of, we will make sense of them later, and we will maybe adjust the fluff a little bit to just like make things not feel like whatever they might end up feeling like, depending on how the d6 roll. So we are going to do it though step by step. Step 1 is determining the battlefield. We've already done that, and I've basically taken it out of everybody's hands, and that we're just going to keep it neutral and simple. It is a mildly tilted plain of, kind of scrub grass on the edges of the field where the peasants grow their crops and stuff. It's smooth, it's even, there's no river for the red rose to jump into. There's nothing, it doesn't count as desert.
Per anonymous player request.
Yes. It doesn't count as desert because desert actually causes a slow movement rule where just everybody is slower, which is kind of silly in terms of what it does to movement speed. We're just keeping it all neutral and even, with the exception that some units have been able to create some small defenses for themselves. Like the archers all have their little defensive measures up. But for the most part, we're not going to bother with the rules for terrain and that sort of thing. Okay, so that is step 1. Step 2, unit and leader placement, we mostly already did when we assigned all the NPCs and PCs and that sort of thing. But we did not make the stealth rolls for concealed units. So you guys have a couple of units of guerrillas that are taking up some positions in the tall grass. And maybe I've also got some dice to roll on this side. I don't know. It could be mind game. Who knows how many units I'm making stealth tests for the Vulture King's army.
Don't make me go in there and hurt you.
I'm not scared of you, woman. I'll kill your character.
Would you like me to roll for
Don't
our
you
units?
talk to my sister like that.
Yes, Bela.
If I'm not scared of Felicia in the next room, I'm way less scared of Ash across the Atlantic.
Hey,
sorry,
Felicia,
sorry, bud.
Oh,
No pressure, but I'll help pay your bail, whatever happens.
That's not gonna happen.
So, let's start with the official House Nymaryen guerrilla unit. Roll their stealth.
13.
And, okay. Alright. And then the House Sandstorm guerrilla unit.
12. So
Okay.
a couple above average rolls.
They are. Alright, so that ends the unit and leader placement. So there's that. And again, to be clear, the House Nymaryen guerrillas are kind of on either flank. They're out at the wings of the army, hunkered down in the tall grass, being all sneaky-rific. Step 3, parlay and terms. Done. Neither group attacked the other under the banner of peace, so neither house lost 1d6 influence. So that was good.
Yeah.
There wasn't actually a terribly formal exchange of terms of surrender, so we're just gonna kind of have to see how things go. And it is probably going to vary from kind of unit to unit later on in this battle. Because keep in mind, some of your opponents are knights, and there's different levels of expectation for them than for small folk rabble. So I don't think we're necessarily looking at army-wide terms of surrender / capture / whatever, so much as, well, we're just gonna kind of see what happens from unit to unit, and just kind of see how things go. Which brings us to step 4, which is initiative. This is going to set the order in which each commander, which is Bela Nymaryen against Sir Jonathor Sand, are going to be giving orders. So we open with a warfare test. This uses strategy is the specialty under warfare that applies, and it's just basically an initiative roll. For once, luckily, armor does not slow you down, because that would be extra weird.
Yep.
But yeah, so we're just going to make warfare rolls from the 2 leaders using the strategy specialty. And as an aside, Bela, like, if you wanted, this could be one of those destiny point expenditures or your bonus thing, just even though we haven't technically started, these count.
So I have 2 things. First one is, do we end up rolling initiative every single round of this? Or is, once we set this, it's going to be set?
It returns to step 4 initiative
Okay.
every round.
Okay, so we will re-roll. Okay.
Yeah.
That kind of changed, like...
And again,
yeah.
And again, like, I know we haven't been doing that in other fights, but like for this one, we're going to do it rules as written. It can lead to some jankiness of, going second one round and going first the next round could lead to a unit kind of feeling like multiple actions, but like we're gonna roll with it. So yeah. Okay. Initiative is what we loop back around to every turn. It goes back to that step for every round of fighting.
And the second thing is, because of my bloodline, blood of the Rhine, I get to re-roll 1s for strategy tests. So my bloodline makes me good at strategy. So I get to re-roll 1 of my dice.
Yeah, the bold Dornish warfare style that is pretty good at seizing the initiative comes in to help out on that front.
Okay. So I think I'm going to not use any of those benefits that I had gained before, and I will be at a 15, which is not so... Wait. Sorry. 19, because I keep 4 dice.
Okay. Jonathor Sand has a 20.
Oh, dang it.
Damn it.
That bastard.
You rolled, technically, yes. Also, like, officially, yes. Openly, yes. So, he has the highest thing. So, we will be doing that each round.
Sorry, you're about to be pelted with some arrows.
Going second, you can reveal his strategy, so not inherently bad.
Next up is step 5, siege weapons, which we just gotta have a gentleman's agreement not to worry about. Realistically, they should have siege weapons, and they do, but they're off screen. They're saving the siege weapons for the Siege of Kingsgrave, just because they are especially bothersome in this game. We discovered in my tabletop campaign where we were like, our house is a bunch of engineers, and then we were like, holy fuck, we dominate. It was pretty cool. But for this first battle, we can assume that there are, siege some battering rams and stuff, either assembled or in the process of being assembled, but we're not going to complicate the fight with using them on the battlefield. Okay. They are trouble. So yeah, that's why I was just like, me and Eric are just not going to do that this week. We're just we don't want it decided by one lucky catapult boulder, right? So we're not going to do that. That brings us to step 6, which is first player actions. So, any characters that are not attached to a unit can take actions. The plan for at least the first round was for everyone to stay attached to their units. So we're going to let that stand. But nominally, if you decide to detach from a unit, individual characters take their actions before the first commands are given, because individual characters are just quicker to do stuff. But at least these first couple of rounds, we weren't planning to play with those rules. We're going to keep people attached just for simplicity's sake. So we've got that. And then there's a list of actions that the first player can do. He is not going to renounce command. Sorry, you're not winning that easily. He's already, other people are already attached. So he's not going to attack a unit or a portion of a unit. He doesn't have any units that need to be rallied or brought back to being organized instead of routed and that sort of thing. So that's the first bit there, is first player actions, and then it goes to step 7, which is the orders phase. This part is each commander gets to issue an order, one order at a time, and then the next commander issues an order. So Jonathor Sand doesn't get to give all his orders first, and then Bela have to do all of hers, but he does get those actions first this round, which is cool because you can rally troops and then give them orders and stuff. So it's still important, but he does get to just go first. So he is going to do that, and we will, and also just, off screen there was some rousing stuff hollered to some troops, and that sort of thing on the other side of the field. Like, he didn't just ride back and start the fight. So some stuff happened over there, but he is going to start with this order to these guys. So 1 second. Keep that many, and we are good. Double check the order difficulty. Different orders have modifiers to the difficulty of giving them. So I'm double checking this one. And all right. What looks to be the most heavily armed and armored unit in the center of his line of infantry. They basically slide in close together, and they've got big, proper, northern Westerosi shields, not the, cinematically in Dorne, they tend to smaller shields of burnished copper. That gets described a lot in the books. But these guys have big, proper
Heater shields.
Full-sized heater shields that have that, the kind of kite shape to them. And they form up in a tortoise shell maneuver, which is basically just a mobile shield wall with shields up front and shields up top. They have a few token spears poking out from the inside, but in the rules of the game, no attacks are possible in the tortoise shell, but you do get a big fat defense bonus. So it looks like at least the center of his line is beginning to form up in a defensive position. Now, we go to Bela's turn to give an order as part of step 7.
I'm trying to find that order just so I can read what it is.
It's going to be under formation.
Formation, that's it. Jesus.
Age 193.
It's-
My first thought is, well played, but you can't do that with your cavalry.
You cannot. Let us put it out. But it does keep most of those small folk kind of out of the way.
Hmm.
Okay. Got it. Alright. So a point of clarification in general, because I have a lot of forces under my commands,
Correct.
most of which have their own leader. Do I need to give them orders specifically, or are like, can Luke take care of managing his own cavalry so I don't need to tell them anything in battle? Like, how is this gonna work?
Or would telling you what to do would be like just a non-counter action, right?
Yeah. What is supposed to happen is that you are basically giving the orders and other people are following them. What is happening is your sub-commanders are going to take care of the die roll part. So you can issue a number of orders equal to your warfare rank that we will call capital O orders, where you are the one rolling the dice and
Yeah.
specifically telling that unit what to do. But each sub-commander can give a little O order, just one per round. So cinematically, basically on initiative side, this is where you can say, I will give an order to do this, or you can say, I tell Luke to give an order to do this. And it still takes up your spot in the backseat fourth seat of initiative, but isn't one of your like 4 warfare orders. Is that making sense?
Yes. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Yes, that was what I was afraid of, just because there's so many forces here that giving orders to all of them is going to take like forever.
Well, and they don't necessarily all need orders every turn. I mean, that's the other thing. It's you
Yeah.
know, just like in Total Warfare, or something like. Sometimes units just gotta wait for something to happen.
Yeah, but I agree, but like in the beginning, it's more important because no one's doing anything yet. So like you want them all to be doing something. All right, so essentially, I want to prepare our infantry for attacks. That maneuver you did is a very difficult one to have them do correctly, and I don't know if any of my commanders would be maybe Balin Swan's group. I'll have Balin Swan's group do that same thing. Try also to do the tortoise.
Okay. My question here is: do you want to roll, or do you want me to?
Oh well, if you tell me the dice pool, I'll roll it.
All right. It's gonna be 4 dice. Keep 4.
All right. I get a +3 because Balin's embedded in the unit, and I need to get to a 15. Holy crap, that's exactly 12 on the dice, so that did it. It was like
All right.
one big number, then some smaller numbers, and I'm like, oh no, I don't think that's enough.
All right, Balin Swan. Well done.
Oh my gosh.
So yes, your exact counterpart unit at about the same time, because he's kind of front and center of your infantry forces, follows the command, and the well-trained troops of House Swan form up in a very similar defensive twist-shell maneuver. All right. Then, in my notes, no matter what, the second thing that happens is the Red Rose has her guys start shooting. Like I just had it like, if she survives, she's really pissed off about everything. So like really soon in the fight, she's gonna just start in.
Are we already at range to shoot arrows?
I think the easiest way to do it is if we are, like cinematically, everybody stops just outside bowshot, then
Right.
everybody scooches a little bit closer during the rousing speeches. Mostly, I'm doing that so that the long-range units, like, we don't have to waste another round of, okay, we need to make an order to move like one spot closer, and to do that, you guys have to leave your defensive positions, and right. So, yeah, short-range units are going to have to worry a little more about maneuvering and getting close, but I think just for simplicity's sake, doing this without like a war game style strategy map, it's just easiest to say that the long range units probably have everyone in range. And that's just kind of to cut down on the die rolls where nothing exciting happens, right? Okay, I give an order for them to move forward 20 feet, and now they can start shooting next round.
Okay.
So we are going to do that. She is an angry girl, so she is going to just randomly start shooting. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Wait, stereotype, Rusty.
Alright, she's got that many units to choose from, so we will make it this roll. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, the infantry unit just next to Lord Barracks, or just next to
Balins.
Sir Balins, with Lady Alysain Mormont embedded, starts to eat some arrows
Okay.
as the first bloodshed of this fight. So, 1 second as I roll their marksmanship test. For those of you playing from home, this combat works just like character combat for the most part. Units have stats like agility and awareness and marksmanship, and everything that they don't specifically have listed is a 2, just like a player character. And they have a combat defense value. They wear armor that modifies combat defense and gives them armor, all kinds of stuff like that. So, this unit is rolling their marksmanship. They're getting +1 die because they have the red rose embedded, just like everyone else. So she's also going to get, she's got that +3 bonus, so she's giving the command, and it's a pretty basic command to start shooting, so she pulls that part off. And now I'm tallying up the marksmanship roll, and we will compare it to the combat defense of that infantry unit. We've got 22, which is pretty freaking solid.
Oh my gosh.
That unit has
5
a
defense.
defense of 5, so 17. So that's a hit. 5, 10, so 3 extra degrees of success. They do 6 damage. That is 18 points of damage.
Alright, well
which
that
is a
unit's
lot.
gone.
They have armor. If it wasn't for, like, if she got 1 more degree of success, that unit would be gone. And that's one of the weird points of this is if a unit takes more damage in 1 attack than they're double their health, they're wiped out. But because of the armor, that didn't quite happen here. 1 more degree of success, though, and you guys would be down an infantry unit. So as it is, that is 18 minus their armor of 4. They have a max health of 9. So they are still going to get really jacked up from it because they have taken enough damage to damage and morale. So their health has been reduced to 0, and they are now disorganized. And Erica, you make sure you're keeping track of this on yours,
Yeah.
because I've got to keep track of mine.
I know. Yeah.
So
I know.
a disorganized unit has lost enough people and been attacked viciously enough that they're no longer standing in neat ranks and listening very well. They take -1 die on all tests, just like having a wound. And their discipline difficulty goes up by +3. Now, they can still receive orders and fight. They just are very vulnerable while disorganized, you can rally them with an order that makes them organized again. But if they take damage while disorganized, they rout, and if they take damage while routed, they're destroyed. So a disorganized unit is very vulnerable while disorganized.
That is
So,
quite a lot for one hit.
You're gonna see a theme of this today, where basically units get wiped out in one attack, basically.
That will often happen depending on the unit. For the record, just so you guys know, this is the Red Rose's elite archer unit with her embedded. So you guys did downgrade most of their archer units, but mathematically I let her keep one of them at a higher level. So this is one of the most dangerous units in the Vulture King's army.
Yeah, I know exactly. I know exactly what I'll be targeting on a turn.
So there's that, and yeah, she was with a House Nymaryen infantry. So some stalwart Stormlanders from Blackhaven are eating a ton of red-fletched arrows, and they are not liking it. So there is that command.
Adam, loose arrows. Take out their archers.
Way ahead of you.
So, first things first, young Adam the Archer, we need a warfare roll from you.
Yeah. Which is somewhat worrying because I have a warfare of 2. But I'm getting +1 to that.
Right, and then you get a +3 because you are embedded in the unit.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah,
So-
for a standard roll without any negatives, you can't really miss it. So.
Well, no, he can because they're archers.
Yeah, archers are
Oh,
9.
You're right. I was thinking of the best discipline level, which is like 3 we have, but that's not true for all the rolls.
So you are looking for a 9 on 2d6 + 4.
That's 10.
All right then, you have successfully given the attack order, and now they will make the fighting or marksmanship test to attack. So now you roll. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, like, is this separate from, or does it include my own archery?
This includes your archery, which is why they're getting a whole +1 extra die. That's how they represent the simplest level of badass PCs being embedded in units, is that this unit is normally marksmanship 3, but you make them marksmanship 4, like just by either inspiring them or shooting that well, that like you're worth a whole extra die of 100 archers. So it's just marksmanship 4. So rolling 4, keep 4. And yeah, let's see how the dice fall.
$12.
Okay. They are normally combat defense 9, but they have mantlets in front of them, which makes them combat defense 14. So they've got these big kind of wicker woven shields that the archers are half stepping out from behind to shoot at. They don't all have that. But you notice that one unit of archers and all 3 units of peasants do have these defensive fortifications with them. But as it is, your arrows fall, and there's a flurry of motion amongst those red besashed archers, but it doesn't seem to scatter them or do as much damage as was done to that unit of Dondarrion infantry.
For future rounds, is there the option for us to set our arrows on fire?
I
Because
think there is.
That's my thought is set that wicker shit on fire as quickly as possible.
Sure.
It doesn't. I mean, it doesn't need to be by arrows, but if someone can do that, that would probably help.
Yeah, I mean, there are rules for hurling pots of boiling oil and shit, and it's certainly a standard medieval cinematic thing to shoot flaming arrows because, like, they look cool on camera and stuff.
Yeah, I know that they're
because-
not particularly like realistic or anything, and they are kind of their own thing, but
Sure. Yeah, and we'll say it will take one round to get everybody to prepare their flaming arrows. So, like, it's one order per archery unit will get them to do what needs to happen to quickly get their arrows ready to go.
Okay.
But we'll say you guys have all the stuff needed because you're the defensive side in a siege. So we'll hand wave that away and just say, like, yeah, like, it's all there. It's just, it's going to take them an action to, like, swap over.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll say, and if what we'll do here for simplicity's sake, if you guys get the flaming arrows ready, you guys shoot them. If you would hit them, if it weren't for the mantlets, then we'll say that it hits the mantlets and the mantlets are on fire and we'll be gone. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah.
Yeah, if I'd known about those beforehand, I'd probably have done something differently. I feel a bit silly now, but I know now, so good to go.
It is all fine. So, the first round of Archer on Archer action has taken place. Let's do... Alright, that guy's doing that. Those guys are doing that. Infantry have yet to advance. Everybody's being pretty defensive on that front. So let's have another unit of archers go. So, 1 second, as John Thor Sand gives the command to loose, like a moment after the Red Rose has her troops giving the command to loose. So it looks like she's rankling. Her wild Dornish blood gave her nominally a higher initiative than him, is kind of how it plays out. So that unit has the order to shoot. That unit will shoot. In 1 second. Because they are going to try and focus fire here, because that's how archers do. So they roll not nearly as many dice, and they end up with a 13 against Lady Alisane's unit, which is defense 5. So they are going to do 10 points of damage, which is enough to get past armor at all, which now means that disorganized unit has become routed. So yeah, their formation has changed to a mob, as per page 199. And at the end of the turn, they're gonna try and start running away. So looks like it's probably gonna be time to try and do something about that unit. And for this game's sake, just so you know, Erica, I'm going to say for these units, if you want to, you can give an order to rally and stuff like that instead of it being the person embedded with them. Like, for instance, Alisane Mormont is Warfare 3 with no bonuses. She's one of the lowest on your side. Because she's the least formally trained. So, like, if you want, you can give the order instead, and we'll still give it the bonus for her being there, and them kind of rallying around her. But if you wanted to roll your dice instead of theirs,
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Is rally the same as regroup?
No.
Yeah, well, the regroup is the one that erases some damage. Rally is the one that has the unit reorganize itself.
I really don't like having to not attack with anything so that I can regroup troops while the enemy keeps adding more fire to this. Like this has a big danger of snowballing to the point where we're gonna get like completely dominated here.
By rough head count, they have one more unit of archers that has not fired a volley yet.
Let's hit them.
Yeah, I'm gonna have one of our archers fire at their yet to fire archers.
Okay. Do you want it to be Alia Sands or the Red Vipers?
It really does not matter one bit, so I'll go with the Red Vipers.
Okay. It does matter a little bit because the Red Viper's a dick. And if his unit succeeds, then they're gonna have +1 damage.
Oh,
Because he was like, rub this on your arrowheads for luck.
okay.
So anyway,
Just for luck.
Well,
just a little smidge. I just figured the first attack that Prince Oberyn's unit made, they just get a little +1 damage on whatever, because he's the Red Viper.
Yep.
So he has a leadership role or a warfare role to make. I always want to call it a different stat. I blame it on the number of different war games that I've played in real life, where everybody has a different stat for morale, leadership, warfare, discipline. All right, and to give an attack order is pretty stinking basic, so he is good to go on that front. And then, Erica, do you want to roll the attack?
sure.
I figure like when in doubt, I'm fine with PCs rolling the dice that does
Yeah.
stuff on the PC side. So marksmanship at 3, so roll 3, keep 3.
Shouldn't it be marksmanship 4 because
Well,
the
yeah,
embedded?
because he's embedded.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I have a 14.
Okay. So that is a hit with 1 extra degree of success. Normally their damage is 5, so it's going to be damage 6 from the good luck ointment. So that will be 12 points of damage that doesn't quite destroy them because they are armor rating 2. They have kind of scrappy bandit armor, but that is 10 damage against their health of 6, which is enough to disorganize them.
Woo!
Yeah, I guess the thing, like, while they can, like, while they're like getting heavy hits on us, we can do the same to them because they took their armor.
Which means the first attempted reorganization test is going to come from the side of the Vulture King, as he yells at those archers to stay assembled and get their shit back together. So he is going to give a rally order to that disorganized unit of archers. 1 second as I math.
Yeah, if he's reorganizing, he's not attacking, so.
And it looks like, okay, rally is just a basic order, so I am, yeah, rally.
Yeah, it's
Sorry.
standard. But it
They
is.
call it. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a standard order, so there's no difficulty change, except that they're disordered, so that's 3 more.
Yeah. I just wasn't sure if they got
Disorganized.
double dipped on the
Ah.
penalty. So I was like, let's double check on that. So, all right, they are looking for difficulty that. He's got that. Yeah, all right, never mind. He was keeping 4s, so his dice were hot enough that they have certainly now rallied. They ... return to fighting capability, so they are now no longer disorganized. They do keep that penalty.
Yeah.
So they are reorganized, so they no longer count as disorganized and like that level of vulnerability that they have, but it is -1 die, and if they get disorganized and reorganized a few more times, kind of like wounds, they're still out. So they are back, but with a penalty. Okay, and Erica, you are up. Your side is up.
I'm gonna do something bold here because I think it needs to happen. Well, we still have one more archer, but I also need to rally. Oh, jeez.
Might I suggest rallying early rather than later? Just in case, because without the rally they can't get better, but there's the possibility of it getting worse. So I would personally just probably do that first.
All right, I will do that. I will try to rally our routed infantry. Okay. I have a 14,
Okay.
which should be enough.
Let's just double check the discipline modifier on BAM. So the discipline 6.
Mhm.
They are. Open up. All right. So that makes it a 9, because I don't see any extra penalty for being routed. Do you? Like, it looks like it's
No,
just the
yeah.
same as being disorganized in terms of
Yeah.
that penalty. So all right, they are now improved from routed up to disorganized.
Okay.
So they're still going to have their, disorganized status. So they still have the +3 difficulty, the -1 die, but they're significantly less vulnerable now at that point. Okay. And then we will give that order there. 1 second. As the Vulture King rolls some dice. Holy shit. The good news is that wasn't an attack roll. The bad news is it's keeping nothing but 5s and 6s. But it's just a basic order. He hollers to some of his troops, and you don't see anything of note happen. So, if he's got to roll that absurdly well, that's probably the time that you guys wanted him to do it. He is running low on orders, and it is Bela.
Okay. So
Or a
this is
sub-commander, but you know what I mean.
all right. So by my count, this is my 5th and final order of the rounds. Am I wrong?
That sounds right, yes.
'Cause it was a
Yes.
turtle, there's 2 archers, the rally, yeah.
Yep.
I'm gonna get the other unit of archers into this.
Did our archers attack twice, or they were called one attack?
They attack once each.
Okay.
And there's
Yeah,
3
and-
units.
And this isn't necessarily your
right.
final, because sub-commanders still give their own orders. Like, the sub-commander orders don't count against yours. So, like Bela's got her limit of, 4 or 5 a turn?
5.
But then also the sub-commanders give theirs.
Oh,
So yeah, the attack orders from like Prince Oberyn and from Adam don't take away from your total.
Oh, really?
They still count for initiative purposes of the backseat 4th sea, but yeah, you guys are ahead on that front.
Oh, in that case, I've technically not given a single one of my orders then.
Didn't you rally the archers?
Oh, okay. So I've used one of my personal orders to rally the archers.
Right.
Or rally the infantry.
Or yeah, sorry. So yeah, you've used one of your orders, but this is the 5th order of your side. Yes.
Okay. That makes me feel somewhat better. I would like our other archers to loose some arrows at. Jeez. At archers, we'll just.
Okay. His his reorganized archer unit. I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
we will focus fire. Yeah.
Okay. So this is gonna be Elia Sand's unit. Are you giving the order, or do you want her to?
Well, I'd like her to.
Okay.
Well,
Oh.
wait. Provided that. Does she seem like a capable? Like this.
Oh, charge them.
It's just like, get rid of your bows, get some horses, nerds.
I'll
No,
I'll do
she-
this one because I'm not too sure
Okay.
about her. She's young still.
Just mathematically, what she's got is 2d6 in warfare with a +3 for being embedded, and then she's got a +1 to the total from just like glory that has rubbed off on her from being a sand snake, and from like going out on an adventure with you guys and stuff.
Yeah, so she needs a
she's
5 on
rolling
2 dice.
2d6 +4 is what she is rolling. But you know, attack tends to be a fairly straightforward one. So your call.
I'll roll it for her. Yeah, and I rolled really high already.
Okay, so is this Bela giving the order?
Yes,
or
this is a
this
Bela.
Elia giving?
This is a
Okay.
Bela order.
All right, gotcha. So yeah, you're just looking for like the basic
9.
attack.
Yeah,
So it's like difficulty 9.
I rolled 9 on half of my dice.
Nice. All right then. So make marksmanship. So it's gonna be roll 4, keep 4.
Cool. And the dice just goes spilling everywhere. Okay, I have an 18.
All right. Against that combat defense, so that is 3 degrees of success. They are damage 5, so that's 15.
Mhm.
They have armor 2, which makes it 13, which is double their total health. So even though they just got reorganized, this other wave of arrows comes rolling in, and that unit is functionally destroyed. So the bulk of that final unit of archers is either down or scattering and running. So,
Did you take out all the archers while I was away?
Just the one
of-
unit.
one of the 3.
Nice, though. Good.
So yes, first blood may have gone to the Vulture King, but the first kill has gone to the Southern Coalition led by House Nymaryen. Okay. Let's see. Next up, we will continue with our theme of ranged combat. As one of his units of Dornishman cavalry. Cinematically, they're like riding around while they do this. Like, you know, like a Mongolian wheel type of skirmishy guerrilla warfare stuff. Mathematically, they're not like all up in y'all's grill. They're still at kind of the nebulous, far away, long range of everyone else. But they are going to open up with some arrows. The Dornish cavalry are on either flank, so they're not going to be able to shoot at that same beleaguered infantry unit. We are instead going to actually have them make do an awareness test to see if they spot your guerrillas, because they didn't with their passive. But I'm gonna say now that it's their turn, because they are the closest unit, that is not gonna be enough. So they're not gonna shoot at the guerrillas that are, the most on a flank. So next most on the flank, would that be cavalry or an infantry unit? Let's say this is the
It's
so
cavalry.
this is the far left of your battle line.
Okay.
Let's say.
I was envisioning that to be Nymaryen cavalry over there, along with Oris and Lord Edric.
Okay, so there's 4 units over there.
Yeah.
Could be any one of them. I will roll a d4 and base it on what order they are in our spreadsheet. If I can get this d4 out of my House Nymaryen painted dice jar thinger.
I can
All
hear
right,
it.
so-
Tink, tink, tink.
Yes, it is very loud in here. So we've got Luke's cavalry, Reyna's cavalry, Edric's cavalry, and Oris's cavalry. In that order, it is a 2.
I see
So it
Adam's
is-
heart breaking either way.
It is Reyna's unit that is going to eat a flurry of arrows from these cavalrymen. 1 second.
Super.
Awesome! Wow!
Shields up.
All right, that is they are combat defense 4, so 3 degrees of success.
Oh no, these are combat defense 6. That was before I knew about the difference between the. So when you told me about cavalry taking stats from both the rider and the horse,
Right. Gotcha.
yeah,
Okay, so then that is 2 degrees of success. 1 second. So 8 points of damage. So Reyna's unit takes 3 points.
okay,
So they've still got some health.
Yeah.
They are damaged, which isn't any sort of penalty, but it can potentially matter at the end of the round.
Is there what happens at the end of the round? Is there a sort of
Or
total?
sorry, end of the battle, not end of the round.
Oh, okay.
I misspoke. Yeah, any unit that takes any damage has a special category in the post-fight thing.
Three damage doesn't sound terrible
It doesn't, does it?
compared to
That makes me
18.
terrified.
Yeah. All right. So there's that, and then the Nymaryen side is up.
okay. With all of our archers having gone, and I'm not willing to have our infantry mad dash across the field. All that is left is our cavalry.
Cavalry charge.
And our vanguard, which is Sir Edwin Wynn. I'm going to have him trample towards the other group of archers. Not the special ones, but the other group. So if there's like infantry in the way, they'll trample through the infantry and then trample the archers as well.
Yeah, I think he's really wanting to get in about it. So
Okay. 1 second. I've got scribbled notes of just left and right, because that's how loosey-goosey we're kind of
Okay.
doing this stuff.
They are on my right flank.
Okay. So he is attacking archers that are on your left.
Okay.
So, but it's okay. I mean, again, we're gonna say you can go like 1 unit deep like that for free, because we're playing pretty abstract with ranges.
Right.
So I'm not gonna say that anybody can just trample the whole enemy army in 1 move.
Yes.
But yeah, we'll say 1 unit, and then the target unit is.
I figured
fine.
that made sense since most likely their archers were also behind a unit of infantry.
They are. So you're attacking.
So that order requires a discipline +3 check.
Right. Which he has warfare of 4,
Yep. His
and they are super dope.
Yeah,
So,
he has veteran cavalry. Their discipline base is 0, and he gets +3 since he's embedded in it. So like he can't fail.
Right. Before you're even done, like yelling for him to charge, like he's off like a bolt from a scorpion, and his men are racing to keep up, and you hear them shouting his wife's name as their battle cry on the way in. So you hear them echoing his cry of Alea as they go charging up. But the unit, so on their right, that infantry unit got an order earlier to set to charge.
Yeah.
That's why I had to go back and double check the left and right and which infantry is protecting which archer. He didn't have a chance to get both units to set to charge, but the one order that he gave earlier where it didn't look like anything happened was these guys setting against a charge.
I was afraid of that.
Now we need to go see exactly what happens there, because I think it's like an interrupt even.
It's
but I
actually not
remember
very specific.
Alright, so if an enemy unit charges them, you may make a fighting attack. If the attack hits, the unit deals double damage plus additional damage for degrees as normal. Alright, and then the standing order thing, they're going to keep attacking that unit. So, what we're going to do... I'm going to say that it is an interrupt, because there's a precedent for them being interrupts elsewhere. Like if envelop is another like free one, and because it takes a whole order to order them to do this, so we'll try that. It's disappointing that the rules don't say. It just says, if you're charged at any time during that, then you make an attack, and it's like, feels like that should happen before you get run over, right? Like, so we're gonna say that set for charge interrupts, because that's also what looks cool in movies, right? Like
it's even worsely written, because
right?
nowhere in Trample does it like say that it's a charge attack. It's just like, oh, you move this far, and if you happen to come across any enemy units, you make attacks.
Right, but moving in a straight line in your sprint speed is, to me, a charge. Yeah, we'll go for that. All right, so first they will set for charge. They don't get any bonus. They don't have anyone embedded. So 1 second, they are... All right, that fighting score. And this just does double damage. It's not any...
I think it just sounds like it's 1 extra degree of success for free.
Yeah, basically, it's like, sword combat 1 type of thing. So 1 second. They have that. All right, and their defense is
4
instead of 2, right? Okay, yeah, I think I just saved the wrong one.
Yeah.
When we went over spreadsheets last time. So that's going to be 3 degrees of success.
Oh,
they are damage. Yeah, they rolled well. So they're damage 4. So it'll be 4, 8, 12, so 16 damage. Edwin's cavalry are armor 9.
Yeah.
So 7 points will get through.
As a
is going.
It hurts, but it's not
Yeah, they're
awful.
not disorganized though, right?
Correct.
'Cause they've got a couple health points left.
Yeah. Now I was going to ask you about that. So the stats of the animal is that based upon them being veteran as well? Is that their skill level determines that?
No, it's just the literal stats of the horse.
Ah, okay.
We're just, and I'd said like just use coursers for all the cavalry. So it's 4,
4. It's across the board.
4 endurance, 4. What's the other fucking athletics? Is the other stat
Yeah.
they get? Yeah. So it's just give them 4s. So all right, they are hurt, but
Yeah.
they are not disorganized from it. So that unit. I mean, that was a hell of a good faith effort on their part, and they actually rolled really well. So they get their pikes up, or spears, I guess they're not technically pikes,
Mhm.
and they do a heck of a job setting for that charge against Sir Edwin and what might be the most dangerous single unit that you guys got,
Yeah.
since they had every upgrade and stuff.
Yeah.
But it does not stop them. So now Sir Edwin's unit makes a fighting test against the unit in their path. We're going to start with these infantry and kind of just do them in the order they should be in.
Right.
So infantry, then archers.
Okay.
So fighting test, and on its success, it's 5 extra points of damage.
Okay, so I get to roll 8 and keep 4 dice. Could have been a little better, but still adequate, I think. So I end up.
And as a refresher for everybody at home, you get to roll extra because mounted combat lets you add your animal handling to your fighting tests. So that's why we have our first bonus dice of a unit attack roll.
Yep. And I have a 19.
Okay, you almost hit him. I was kidding. They are that common defense. So 1 second. All right, so you've got that. And what's your base damage?
Base damage of 9.
Right. So, and then plus 5 for it being a trample is almost 4 times their maximum health. So, they go down stabbing and swinging, but they fall before the fury of Sir Edwin Wynne and his righteously indignant cavalry charge of his axemen. And now you charge against the archers on the
Mhm.
right. It's
Yep.
-1
1.
kept die, so it's 8 keep 3, which is still going to probably be a pretty scary 3 dice.
Probably. Not as much as I would have hoped for. It's 15. So a little bit shy of the perfect 18.
So that is still going to be 2 degrees of success. So 18 damage. They have
Plus-
armor 2, which is not enough. All right. The axemen of Tower Wynn are doing the Lord's work. They are rampaging in there, and they and their war horses are stabbing and trampling and hoofing and biting and shield bashing. And it looks like these 2 units are getting pretty stinking chewed up. Okay. And then the Vulture King is up. And we are going to have him use his personal last order. For this. Okay, we got that base difficulty. 1 second. So that difficulty there. These guys are pretty good at their job. All there's the piercing cry of a hunting bird overhead as Jonathor Sand gestures violently, and both units of knights on their side swoop in from either flank to go charging at the axemen of Sir Edwin Wynn in order to put a stop to the rampage. So 1 second as I evenly split those dice. It just says split them, and
Yeah.
normally that means splitting them as evenly as possible. So there is that. There is that. They are knights at that difficulty. All right, so we are good.
Quick question.
What's up?
Would using a destiny point to have him drop one of those dice on this test cause him to fail one of them?
It would not.
Ah, damn.
Actually, just because of the -3
Yeah.
difficulty on these particular units.
Yeah.
And you rolled pretty well.
Yeah. I had to ask because I know how deadly this maneuver is.
Yeah, like that would be a good time to do it. But so with the pincer swooping in, oh, actually 1 second. Because on that flank, only one of the units of knights is close by, so the other half of the pincer is going to be this infantry unit that is closer. So 1 sec, I screwed that up. Alright, so that's going to be the middle infantry unit. No, it actually still wouldn't do it. But they do have to leave their tortoiseshell formation
Okay. Well, that's good
to
to
take
know.
part in this pincer. Yeah, it's one unit of knights that are close, and then that center infantry unit of his. So yeah, my bad on that. I just realized they have to be 2 units that are within range, basically.
Yeah.
So 1 second though, because now comes the stabbing. Let's start with the infantry. They are fighting that, and they get a bonus. All right. And an extra die makes that an 18 against Sir Edwin Wynn's cavalry, which is going to be base damage of 6, their defense 4, so that's going to be 18 points of damage coming in at Sir Edwin.
Okay.
Their armor will eat 9, but that will knock them to disorganized, I believe.
Are we treating these as like simultaneous attacks? Because that's kind of what pincer is. It seems, I don't know, seems weird to have the 2 attacks at the same time, and one brings it to disorganized, and then the other one brings it like to routed.
Right.
Like, we can do that if you want. I guess it's sort of what his rules is written.
Yeah, it's just another one that isn't written terribly clearly, but like because of how combat works.
Like, obviously you can't roll them at literally the same moment. You have to
Right. Yeah.
roll
So,
sequentially,
So we'll do the knights then. 1 second. So these guys are rolling that plus that for insert. Keeping 1, 2, 3. All right, math time. All right. 8 against their defense. Blah, so yeah, that's a lot. So 1 second. That's 45 points of damage from those knights. With their, because it's animal handling plus 5. Yeah, that's pretty gnarly. That will wipe out Edwin Wynn's unit, because there's not much you can do against 45 fucking points damage. They did the most they could do per degrees of success. And they got to keep an extra die because of Pincer. That takes care of Edwin Wynn's unit, and it does. So Alisane Mormont, just for the record, took. Oh, also, Reyna, you took 1 point of damage that ignores armor rating when your unit got damaged. So Alisane Mormont took some damage that ignores armor, but for this, for being embedded in a unit that is destroyed, you take 10 points of damage that ignores armor rating. So.
Fuck.
I really don't like this system. I'm just gonna put this out there.
It's terrible.
So Sir Edwin is gonna be pretty chewed up potentially here at the end of things, as his unit takes out 2 units. 2 units converge on his and take them out. And you are up, Erica. Honestly, to me, the biggest issue is just cavalry being as grotesquely overpowered as they are. Because they get to roll twice as many dice as anybody else with better stat and more damage, and they move faster.
Well, it's that, and like obviously, like in real life, I'm not sending one group of cavalry into like their main forces and saying, okay, now you go ahead and just collapse on that one unit and destroy it, and then I'll send another one unit so you can do the same thing, right? Like,
well, and that's an issue in any war game or RPG, right? Like, you're not actually standing there trading blows. It's just, I don't know how to fix that in any game.
Just.
Is there anything I can do to help, Erica?
No, I don't think so. I think we just have to continue with this and slog it out.
Yep.
As painful as this is going to be.
They are under the same rules we are, so.
Right, I mean, and keep in mind, you just sent 20 dudes that killed 200 with one roll of, like one action, right? So, like, by the math, they just killed 200 guys in a minute, which is a lot of killing, right? So, like I said, it's got quirks and foibles. We're gonna roll with it for this fight and just see how things go.
All right, Luke.
Sister?
I'd like you to take out those cavalry archers, please.
There are 2 units of those Dornish cavalry archers. One on either side.
Well,
one is already shot, one is not.
I would prefer to take out the ones that have not shot yet, but if that's not the one that's in range, then
he's a cavalry unit, so they can hit either one.
All right.
I will hit the uninjured one.
All right. For the record, this is putting you on the left side with Luke.
Okay, and that's how I thought. I thought that they were on the left side anyhow.
Yep. So we are good. First you've got to give the attack order, which is to say you roll your warfare, add 4 because this is your first warfare test, and I think you need to beat like a
3,
-3 or so. Like it's pretty low. It's pretty low.
Yeah. So it's good because I rolled a 2 and 2 1s, but these are the most disciplined troops here, and I keep. So that is 3 + 3 is 6. So
they are fine. So you successfully give the order to attack, and now you attack just like a horseman. You roll your animal handling plus fighting +1 die, and then you keep fighting +1 dice. You get that extra +1 to represent Luke being badass.
Yeah,
which-
I've got 7 dice, keep 4 altogether. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
That is. Yep, I did the
Sounds
math
right.
for you.
And yeah, that's another thing that I wish about this system, Erica, that we ran across is there's no benefit for succeeding really well as a leader. Like, we were thinking just extra degrees of success
Right.
should give like a +1 on a roll, because as it is, like there's no other benefit to being the most rousing dude as opposed to I rolled a 2 and 2 ones. So whatever, let's do this.
It's
right?
just as good as my 5-5-4-3.
Yeah. So that was another thing that kind of jumped out at us was
Yeah.
like, seems like you should get some kind of bonus for that sort of thing. But
Okay.
let's see what happens to these Dornish cavalry.
Yeah, Luke is basically looks back at his guys. Let's do this. Charges in, and I rolled a total of a 19.
Okay. They have that combat defense. So 1 second. All right. And what is your base damage?
It is 8.
So that much damage minus that much armor.
Luke will be in front of the unit with his hair in the wind. Holding his lance.
You don't get bonuses for looking fabulous, unfortunately.
Not mechanical ones, you know.
All right. That unit is now disorganized. You guys have rolled right into their kind of medium cavalry unit with a proper unit of heavy cavalry, and they are beginning to scatter. A number of them fall under your lance tips, and they are not looking to be in very good shape.
Just cinematically, Luke is dropping his lance and grabbing his spear. So, middle of the fight.
Okay, that takes care of those guys. Who is left on their side? Down to embedded orders. They've got that, and they've got that. And you're on the left side. Okay.
Sorry.
So, Sir Alfric and his unit of knights, also on the left flank, goes charging at Lucaris's unit.
Oh no, not his unit.
It's,
Look alive!
it's like, look away, my unit. So,
Enough their lieutenants have seen Luke's unit at this point. It doesn't really matter.
Alfric absolutely succeeds on the leadership role because knights are very easy to do that with. And now they will attack with animal handling plus fighting +1 for Sir Alfric. And you hear him bellowing a challenge as he comes roaring in. Like, cinematically, this is not a sneaky, attack on the flank. Like, he's yelling Lucaris at the top of his lungs and like trying to cut his way through your unit to get to you. We're not necessarily going to go do like personal combat, just it
Right.
is a wow. Wow. All right. So we've got 6, 6, 5, 5, 5, 4, 3, 1
Fuck
on
you.
this fucking handful of dice. He drops those ones. So we are keeping 3 5s and 2 6s. That is a palpable hit. So
Can I suggest
27.
a point to make him drop one of those dice? Or will it
I
not
would,
matter?
I would prefer that we only have the army leaders doing destiny points for leader,
Okay.
like for army scale stuff.
That's fine.
But so yeah, and I'm not even sure if it would. Let me math this out.
Yeah, I say.
Your defense on that is find the right unit. So your defense is 4,
Yes.
and they have a 27. So yeah, so that is the maxed 5 degrees of success. Their base damage is 8, so 40 points. Even if it was 32 points, that would still be taking you guys out. I'm pretty sure, even if I could.
Yeah, we have 9 armor
So-
and 12 health, so.
Yeah. So, your unit is interrupted in your butchery. That unit is destroyed, which again is going to matter at the end. And Luke, you take 10 points of damage that ignore your armor.
Okay.
And you are now somewhat exposed on that flank. Because yeah, like your horse is down, you're standing there alone, killing a couple of these dudes back, but your men are being cut down. Which brings us to the Nymaryen side, where probably something bad is about to happen to Sir Alfred's cavalry unit.
Yeah.
Because I know y'all got some more horsemen over there on that left flank.
Yeah. Oris is group.
Strategic order strike.
The Oris strike coming in on his Dundarian.
All right. I'm not gonna lie, you guys. A part of me really wants to roll this as just Oris and not a cavalry unit,
Yeah.
because we wanted to fuck with those rolls at some point. We're like, what if the cavalry unit gives Oris a +1, like instead of the other way around? But we will do this right. And yeah, Oris just bellows and charges, and his men are racing to keep up. Like you see Edric Dane giving Bela a plaintive look, like he's trying to do this right and like see if he's supposed to go. And as soon as Bela even looks at the left flank, Oris is like, "Fuck it, we out," because he doesn't care as much about impressing anybody with his discipline. So yeah, we'll say that's why it was Oris's unit. They just go. So
There are no complaints here.
That's
So-
not
In the middle of the disaster that is left, like there are no complaints. Luke's got
And
blood
one second,
splatter
we're
across
gonna-
his face.
Erica, do you want to let Luke roll for these guys
Sure.
instead of you?
It's the same
He's the one
dice
that
pool.
They're kind of rallying.
Yeah. It's the same dice pool, but 2 less damage.
Sure.
Okay.
First, technically, there's the warfare roll for Oris
Oh.
to successfully give the order to charge.
Uh,
So it's 2 dice, +3, so 2d6 +3.
Okay.
You're
he's got
looking
3.
for a 3.
Right. So I'm just saying we're trying to do it right.
Yeah.
So like we need
Okay.
to do it step by step, right? Like we're just
Understood.
So they successfully get the order to charge.
It-
Now
Those
well,
ones up in the warfare.
to attack, yeah. Now, yeah, it's gonna be what, like 6 dice keep 4?
7, keep 4.
Yeah, sorry, I was looking at agility, not you. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, Luke's
Or no,
remaining
it's
men
just-
are in the middle of the melee. Blood's everywhere with Oris's men brought down to possibly help him. Let's see.
So 7 dice keep 4.
I see a lot of 5s.
Well, we're probably not about to see a lot of those knights then.
I got
'cause, yeah.
21 altogether. 6 and 3 5s.
Okay. They are also combat defense 4, so we got 4, 9, 14, 19. So 4 times the base damage there of, what is it, like a 6 or a 7 or so?
I think 6 what Erica said.
It is 6.
Right,
Unless he would have charged. Like,
I think we were just doing it as a normal,
as a-
like,
just an
move and
attack. Yeah.
But yeah, so base damage 6, so 24 points. They are armor rating 9, so 13 get through, and they are now disorganized. So there is a charge, and then a counter charge, and then a counter charge.
It's a mess over here.
Yeah, and let's just say cinematically, enough cavalry, because these have all been cavalry units. Some horse lost a rider enough that you're able to clamber back up into the saddle. Your horse is dead because you took fucking 10 points of damage without armor. Something bad has to happen. But we'll say you're back up on a perfectly respectable courser for the moment. You're back up in the saddle at least and feeling a little less likely to get eaten alive.
They killed Vagar, my horse.
You have Bigard too.
All right, and then that
Sorry.
brings us to the last leadership order that they have.
Because I still have a lot to go.
We killed a lot of their lieutenants, so.
Yeah, and you guys have them down a couple sub commanders. They have a couple sub commanders that are just otherwise unremarkable, basically. So like you guys killed their special ones, but you also just kind of thinned the herd. But this is all on the left flank, right? Yeah. All right. Fuck it. So their last leader, the last sub commander they have is Bloody Pate, who is the leader of the guerrillas on their left flank.
Oh my gosh.
And they are going to ambush, which is. So if you succeed, blah, 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 it's a +2 damage on the first round of battle. They are not going to charge in, I think. He's just gonna, throw shit. So yeah, from the tall grass, kind of diagonally to you guys, comes just a fucking flurry of keen Dornish spears that comes roaring in at you. Technically, we'll say this is on Oris's unit because they're like the unit that is standing still, right? So technically, that's yeah. So 1 second, they roll this much to attack. And they get to keep extra, which is not terribly scary. They get to keep an extra 1 for having Bloody Pate embedded. This is not the most impressive roll of the night here.
Good.
So they're looking at a 17, which is still gonna definitely hit. Defense 4, so 3 degrees of success. This is damage of agility +1. So it's only damage 3. They get +2 damage from the ambush. Those are damage 5. So that's 15 points of damage against Oris's cavalry unit on loan from House Swan. Which is going to be, 6 getting through after armor, right? So
yeah.
Injured but not disorganized.
Yeah.
But they did do a point of damage to Oris.
Oh
that
no.
Armor does not soak.
That was a
So-
bad time to come back in.
So what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna give you guys some free actions real quick. Where just for free, Oris detaches from this unit and Luke attaches to it. We're gonna say that's the first thing of Berserk hitting. Is that Oris just wheels his horse around and kicks the spurs to it and starts charging at the guerrillas. And now Luke is in charge of that cavalry unit. This is partially because I'd rather let Luke continue to play the game today.
Yeah.
So Luke,
Right.
you have a unit again, and yeah, we'll see what happens between Oris the Aurochs and Bloody Pate and his 100 men.
Luke will be gathering that group back up and, cinematically, any survivors of his shattered unit.
Yeah, and you guys are still locked in combat with Sir Alfric and his men. They're disorganized. They're not out just yet.
Should I
But yeah,
bring in-
no, you're good. We're still working our way through round 1. And for the record, that is the last command that the Vulture King's side has to give. So now, instead of backs and forthies, it's gonna be the Southern Coalition here going through the rest of your sub-commanders.
Okay. I have 2 more cavalry units on the left flank. One is Reyna. So, Reyna, clean up that cavalry unit.
Can a cavalry unit trample another cavalry unit?
Because you are on the left flank and already pretty close, I'm gonna say, because it says you can give the order to cavalry units, make a fight against any unit in the path. Like, normally I would say no, because it's not like you're just going over them.
I mean,
But-
that's fine. We can do
Well,
charge.
but the thing is, they're disorganized. So I'm gonna say that, like, you can roll through them in a way that you normally couldn't. You know what I mean? Like, because they're already disorganized, we're gonna say that they don't have that kind of mounted upper hand. So you can trample through them, and this is left flank, into... Yeah, they've got a unit of infantry just past there. And it's like infantry and then destroyed archers and then an assortment of peasants, raiders, and criminals behind them. But yeah, you can go through that knightly unit and then attack the infantry unit behind them. Does that make sense?
Yes. Is that cool?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay then.
You'll need to roll 3 on your command test.
Ooh.
Try not to fuck it up. Heir to the house.
You're
I
so
know.
mean.
Sorry, I hadn't even opened my character sheet yet. I realized in all these windows I had open.
It will be 7, keep 4.
For the eventual attack, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, was that your leadership test or was that an attack roll? Push to talk.
Told me to roll 7, keep 4.
Oh.
Okay, hold on to the 18 because that's not bad. But yeah, first you need to make the warfare test to do the order.
Plus command.
Yeah,
Uh,
warfare
it's-
and command bonus dice.
Ah! But 12.
Okay, so you successfully gave the order and then attacked with the 18. That is against this unit, which is combat defense 4. So 3 degrees of success. What is the base damage there? Is it 6?
Yeah, it is 6.
Alright, so 18, so 9 points. Gets through armor, and their disorganized unit is now routed.
I was useful.
You
So,
were.
Is a
Are
cheer
now
if
in-
you leave our forces in the field.
And at the end of the turn, they will start sprinting away. But before that, you guys roll through them and like leave your lances stuck in half of them, and then rampage into that infantry unit, which is 1 die less. So it's roll 7, keep 3 against left infantry.
Okay, I'm rolling. $14.
Okay, that is a hit. That is no extra degrees of success, but we're going to say that that charge destroys the mantlets.
Okay. Okay.
So, like, they still get the initial defensive boost because you can't quite, like, see exactly, where to charge individual dudes. But you guys just trample the fucking mantlets down, and they will now be out of the way. So they let them survive that charge. So it's going to be just base damage, but that's still 6 against their armor rating of 4. So they are now damaged. So yeah, you guys rampage through one of the units of like hedge knights and deserters, and rampage through into a unit of mercenaries, brigands, and deserters, and are wreaking stompy, horsey havoc.
Good. That's what we do.
And then Bela, your side is up next.
Okay. My last cavalry unit on that side, on the left side, is Lord Edric, and I'll tell him to charge the cavalry archers on that side that were already disorganized.
Okay. He goes charging in. His leadership, his warfare is just 3 keep 2. I just gave him a bonus die in social stuff because, like, he's the lord of the house and everybody respects him and stuff. But they're also really, really good knights, so he's fine.
Yeah, he also has veteran knights, which are phenomenal.
Yeah, like the Knights of Starfall probably should do what Edric says, kind of no matter what, right? Like, because they also don't work that in where it's like, it feels like there should be a bonus if it's like your, lord or heir or whatever. Maybe whatever bonus you get to status rolls, you should get to warfare rolls, right?
That
like
would be
for
awesome.
for being an anointed knight or being the lord or the heir. Like,
Yeah.
it feels like it should be factored in somehow. Anyway, so they successfully get the order, and then they will attack. This is an all-new giant fucking handful of dice. I believe it's.
Do you want me to do this?
Yeah, if you want. 9 keep 5, by my math, right? Like that's.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So that's not too bad. And then with a base damage of 9 once you hit, so
Oh my gosh.
odds are good. This will fuck somebody up.
6, 6, 6, 6, 5 is what I rolled. A 29 on the dice.
Do you want to spend like a destiny point or something to make sure that hits?
Let me think.
Oh.
No, I'm afraid that I need to save them in case I screw up some rouse.
Feeling pretty good with just a 29. All right. Yeah, that unit is scattered and destroyed. The Knights of Starfall pace themselves behind their young lord, and as one, they bellow Starfall in the moment that they impact this already distracted and disorganized unit of horsemen, and a few of them are scattered and able to ride away. So yeah, that went pretty fucking well. It was a 29. That was 45 points of damage. So not too bad, I guess, if you like damaging things.
Well, in this circumstance, yeah, that's definitely what we want to do.
Okay.
And I believe that does it for the left flank
Cavalry.
of cavalry. And those archers have already gone too.
Yep.
So all right.
So moving down the list, we have, let's see, Lord Dondarrion on the right flank. I'm gonna tell him to go after the cavalry archers on his side.
All right. Lord Dondarrion just rolls enough. He'll make the leadership roll. He's rolling 4, keeping 3. But again, like, he's fucking lord of their house, and they're pretty good troops, so, like, whatever. So, let's go right to the attack roll. Do we want to let Reyna roll this one?
Sure. 7, keep 4.
Just saying, since it's, Lord Barrick, and she has fought with him in the past, and then her character has wrestled with him several times.
Yeah.
Push to talk.
Wrestling, that's all we do. Yeah, all the time.
Just oiled up and going at it.
How many am I keeping? I'm sorry.
4, keep 4.
Alright, 17.
Okay, and this was against the light cavalry on the right side, correct?
Yes. Base damage 6.
So, they are now injured. They have taken damage. They are not disorganized, though.
Okay. I have this green cavalry that
Sir Miles
Miles.
Manwoody is embedded in them.
Yeah. So I'd like to have him go and try to further damage.
Whom?
The same one.
Alrighty, you go ahead and roll those ones. Because they're green,
Yeah.
let's go ahead and make that roll. He has Warfare of 3 and 1 bonus die. So they're still probably going to be okay because they are still cavalry also. But
Yeah, 12.
because they're green, there's a little bit better chance. So, all right, make the attack roll then. So it's still what, like 6 keeping 4, right? Like that's not bad.
Yes. I almost
got
forgot
that.
to keep the next one. So that is a 20. 20.
Okay, 1 second.
Base damage of 6.
All right, he comes slamming in on the flank as they are still reeling from the charge of the valiant Stormlanders, and they are now disorganized.
Okay.
So yeah, that is working out for you.
All right. We still have infantry. I could have our infantry start moving towards them.
I'm gonna say infantry from either side that like advance will then be within like charge range of the other side's infantry. Basically, we'll say like it takes both sides advancing to meet in the middle.
Okay.
In the abstract again, just
Yeah. Okay. I've already given orders to 2 of them, 2 of the infantry, so I'd have to give orders to the others. Alright, I will do that. Sir Garrus, tell him to move his infantry forward to engage.
all right.
Eventually engage.
Yeah, they take off at a trot. He gives the command, flashes you a sunny smile that you can almost see from where you are, and they take off at a battlefield jog, heading. Are they kind of in the middle, or a little on the left, or a little on the right?
I thought they were closer to the left side, to be honest.
Okay, that's just fine. I'm just for my own edification. So
They're-
more of your left flank.
They were to the
begins
left of my turtled Balin Swan infantry.
Gotcha. So, all right. You continue to press the left flank with your infantry now joining in and getting
Okay.
close.
I have 3 personal orders left. Can I use them to, use the organize heal command on some of our groups? Or...
Yeah,
Well, I
yeah,
also
you
want to
got-
get the other infantry moving forward, so I need to roll for that instead. So, the 2 infantry that don't have commanders. I'll roll for them. One is the Ironwoods.
Oh, I forgot about them.
Oh, yeah.
Yay, they haven't betrayed us yet.
Just call them the Drinkwaters. Then I feel better about them.
So I was looking for a 9 on the dice, and I got about double that on 4
All right.
warfare.
They do what the Dornish wench says. Wait, they're Dornish. They do what the wench says. So are they just advancing
Yeah.
alongside, or
Yes, advancing alongside, and then
Alright.
the Dondarrion infantry that do not have a commander, I will tell to also advance down the field. Looking for a 6 on 4 dice, and I crush that one. I only need 1 die to get that.
Obara Sand runs off with that order and will now be embedded in that unit.
Oh my gosh, we'd forgotten to embed her with someone, didn't we?
We just kind of had her running around doing whatever.
Okay.
'Cause she was like, whatever, I do what I want. But what she wants to do now is go fight. So yeah, we'll just from here on out, we'll say that she's attached to that unit.
Okay. Let me write that. Okay.
Because yeah, she was going kind of loosey goosey back there with the archers, but like now other people are advancing and fighting, and she's not, and she's like, no, fuck that. So yeah.
Unacceptable.
Okay.
She's gonna go get her dick wet.
Wow.
I will.
Battery low.
Oh, shit. I will leave.
Family program.
It is absolutely not. Our session 0 discussion was about incest, remember? Like, no, we're in Westeros. We're still gonna crack some off-color jokes.
Yeah. I was-
Charging battery.
I believe that's
Sorry.
just about everybody, isn't it, Erica?
Yeah, I decided to leave the guerrillas in place and 2 infantry in place to protect the archers. And so that is everyone. I have 1 remaining command. I'm not sure where that would be useful. I mean, I could try to restore some health back to that. Yeah, I'm going to try to get some health back to the Dondarrion infantry so that if they take another hit, they don't go back to routed. They'll only go back to disorganized.
Right. Well, because right now they are
I-
reorganized
yes.
but hurt, right? Yeah. So, yeah, there's no reason not to. You can't like bank commands until next turn.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, the closest there is you can order a unit to like hold, so you could kind of carry an order over. But yeah, might as well try to get them some health back.
Yeah, so I rolled a 15, so that would be 2 degrees of. No. 2. Well, it'd be 2 points of health.
Well, what is it? Like, regroup is.
Oh, regroup. For each degree of success you get, it restores 1 health.
Yeah.
Right. I'm just checking. It doesn't have a difficulty modifier.
No.
I think it's
Standard.
I think it's difficulty 0.
It's a standard difficulty.
Right. Which for them is 6, but with
N-
3.
9 currently.
Yeah. So all right. They'll
2
get back
points.
a couple points of health. So yeah.
Okay. Good. So they won't go immediately back to routed, at least.
Hopefully. Yeah. Like depends on
Well,
what they get hit with. It's hard to say in this game. They might also just get destroyed because somebody looks at them crossways and rolls well.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Don't you dare.
okay. So I guess we go to the next.
They will die
Right,
within the allotted half hour.
because now we have wrapped up step 7 orders, which brings us to step 8, which is second player actions, which is you guys. So after all the orders are given, any characters not attached can take 5 rounds worth of action. Characters can do that above. You can detach people, or somebody can take command. Erica, you want to roll for Oris attacking some gorillas?
I mean, yeah. I think we know how it's gonna go.
I think it's gonna be very silly, but like, let's say that this is. If this goes well, or even if it doesn't, it's probably going to take the rest of the fight, right? Like, he's not going to run over there and kill 100 dudes in a minute. So we'll just say this is what's going on. Yeah, let's. Adam got back on his feet, right? He's not on his horse.
Yeah.
Okay, so when he orgasms, he's not going to fall from the saddle.
Oh, come on, he has some decorum.
So who wants to roll for this?
He'll go home and wank about it later.
So Erica,
Well, that's a relief.
do you want to roll, or do you want to let Ash roll for this, Erica? I'll make it your call.
I think we should all roll. There's 5 of us, and there's 5 attacks. We all do one.
Like so, we'll just
Okay.
make it the one attack. Because it's
Okay.
already kind of silly enough.
Okay. Adam, you go ahead. You do the honors.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So Ash, this is Oris and his greatsword waiting, and he currently has the hammer like slung over his back.
Of course he does.
So
I'm surprised he's not dual wielding.
no, he's got his shield up, like, because he's concerned about not hurting your feelings by dying. So
I'm surprised he's not aware of my feelings.
you made them pretty clear with that ambush smooch attack. So this is going to be 7 dice, keep 6, and you get to reroll 1 die.
Okay.
And once a day on a fighting test, you can get a +2 to a single roll. So maybe now's a good time for that, depending on
Yeah,
the total.
let's go with that. Okay.
Depending on the total, I'll let you make an informed decision.
Well, that's fine. Okay. We've got 26 on the dice. Would the +2 make a difference?
It would, actually.
Let's go for that then.
All right, so because these guys are gorillas and they have athletics and like really light armor, they actually have a really good combat defense of 7, which is a 27 because it's a character attacking a unit. But
So-
because you used the +2, he hit.
Nice.
Sorry, he also has a +1 because it's a council forged sword. So actually, he would have hit either way. He was close enough. So yeah, keep the +2. You don't
Okay,
need to
keep it.
which means he hits with his sword that has a base damage of 13.
Fucking hell.
And these guys are just gorillas with armor rating 1, which means they have been hit for 12 points.
That's
Their
double.
unit has a health of 6, so they just got hit for double their health, and Oris just killed 100 of them with a single swing of his sword.
I love him so much.
So, like I said, we're not gonna let him do that 5 times as 5 character actions. And we're also gonna say that that's gonna take a couple turns, right? Like, Oris wades in, kills a couple, a few of them make the mistake of stabbing him, Berserker kicks in, he's gonna be at it for a little while.
Oh my gosh.
But, yeah. So like I said, we have some issues with how this game works sometimes, and that is one of them. So yeah, Oris just kills 100 dudes. Oh, and Bloody Pate takes 10 points of damage that cannot be soaked by armor. Since Bloody Pate only exists as a warfare score of 3, we're gonna say that that kills Bloody Pate, and at some point Oris will come back with his head and 99 others.
I love the bones of that boy.
So we'll say that takes a little while. But yeah,
Oh my god.
yeah. So that ends the second player actions part. We don't have any other characters that are gonna do stuff, which brings us to step 9, which is resolve standing orders. So you start with the Vulture King side. He won initiative. commander may pick one unit that is not acted yet or received orders, and they can resolve orders from previous rounds. Nobody has that.
Yeah.
And this is where I've got another kind of problem with it, is that like that infantry unit that Reyna charged into, they don't, from what I can find, they don't automatically get to take an order of attack back.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like they're currently in melee, but until they get an attack order, it is my understanding that they don't like automatically attack. Like once they get the order to attack, they will never ever stop. But as it is, they don't get to fight back. So like cinematically, they're fighting back against Reyna and her cavalry. But rules as written, they don't, and that's what we're going to go with. So standing orders, nobody has orders from last round because this is the first round of combat. Which brings us to step 10, repeat. We loop back around to initiative.
Woo! Round 1 over.
Yes, so
Fucking hell,
officially,
it only took an hour and a half.
so at the end of round 1, we are sitting on 420 casualties on the Vulture King's side. Like 4 infantry units and 1 cavalry unit have been destroyed. So, yeah, it's not too shabby for the first round of combat, right?
I mean, it's been tense. And we've got 20 minutes to go.
Yeah. So, what I think I'd like to do is we're going to wrap up a little early, but let's go ahead and roll initiative and be ready for next week. But I really don't want to further complicate things by stopping in the middle of a round.
Yeah,
I was
thank you.
so naive for thinking this would be
Yeah.
over in a session.
Nope. It's a lot of moving parts. I mean, we've got a lot of units on a lot of sides. So we go back to step 4 initiative, which is a warfare strategy test.
Okay. Thinking about if I want to get my extra bonus die on this to help me go first.
If it will help you make that decision, he is sitting on a 19.
Ooh, that's like on the border of... I will take the bonus die.
All right. So this is your strategic bonus die from deciphering stuff, or is this the bonus die from your like leadershipy stuff? Like
This is from the leadershipy stuff.
Okay, so just a bonus die, not a kept die. Gotcha.
So this is fun. I also have a... Oh no, wait. I said I have a 19, but I also have a 1 that I get to re-roll from my
Nice.
Blood of the Roin. Oh, but it's not enough to replace. So I have a 19.
Okay, so on a tie, the character with the highest rank in warfare goes first, and then it goes to bonus dice from strategy. He is warfare 5.
Oh. Maybe I would like to use one of those bonus destiny points from Adam's research to keep an extra die then.
Right, and that will break the tie. As you remember something that, Adam uncovered about, like, what to do when a flank is threatened by cavalry. Like, you know what he's gonna do next, and between that and your bold, Roinish blood, you are able to seize the initiative coming into the next round. Actually, we're not quite going to stop there. We're going to stop before orders, because part of step 6, first player actions, is organizing or rallying disorganized or routed units. Do you have any of those left?
No.
Okay, then we will like if you did, you could do that and get them ready. So we are leaving off, heading into step 7 orders, with Bela about to take the initiative and commence further bloodshed. But I do think we're going to cut it there. I hate to stop us a few minutes short, so if you all want, we can do kind of a question and answer session or something for a couple minutes to kind of wind down.
I'm up for that.
But with this many moving parts, I don't want us to have like 2 units go and then we stop in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot going on.
So, I'm going to kick off the question and answer thing with just a reminder that we are still not terrific fans of parts of this system. More like okay, there's a video game called Sleeping Dogs, and there's a video game called Alpha Protocol. And besides those, this is the game that I wished the most in the world got a sequel or a new edition. Like,
Right.
those 2 video games are some of my favorites, as flawed as they are. But this game, more than any other, I'm like, and like, I have spoken with Green Ronin about this at cons. I freelance for them, and I was like, listen, look at me, listen, let me do this. Like please,
needs
just
a-
let me
yeah.
do the thing.
It needs a second edition so badly.
Yeah, and because there's just a few things that you could fix that would make this a lot more playable long term. So, yeah, that's where we're at. Like, again, we know some of this is glass cannon. We're kind of playing some rocket tag, or some Horus tag, as the case may be. But yeah, so we're uncovering more little things that we don't like about the system pretty often. I like that it exists. I like the bones of the mass combat system. I like how it ties into, warfare is its own stat. You have to invest in being a canny leader instead of being, the champion of an army, like the biggest badass. Like, that's 2 different things. Remember, Jaime Lannister loses the Battle of the Whispering Woods, but he almost succeeds in killing Robb Stark. Like, that's 2 different types of characters, right? Jaime Lannister is perhaps unsurpassed in single combat, but he loses that fight because Robb Stark is perhaps unsurpassed in strategy and tactics. And he cheats by warging sometimes, whether he knows it or not. But like, those are 2 very different characters. And in a game that doesn't have the normal spread of like 9 character classes in D&D, like, I like that leader and strategist is different from knight. And so I like that it exists, but yeah, there's just some real foibles to it that we are uncovering as we use them.
My thoughts, Qatar, on the rules of mass combat are, I've done this before in person, and it is just as draggy, even when you split the command around. When you split the warfare around to give somebody something to do all the time, it goes even slower.
And I will say, though, that fight did go a lot faster than this one in the grand scheme of things, but that's because we kind of cheated, and we talked one enemy army into joining us, and then we attacked the other enemy army.
Yeah.
So, Lord Jonathor, the Golden-Tongued, but even with that overwhelming an advantage, it still fucking dragged out. Like, we were better than these guys in every way. We had siege weapons and they didn't. We had a second army on our side, and it was still like, man, this isn't as like exciting as I feel like it could be. Like, so yeah, there's some issues. What about you, Ash? I know you've played in a lot of play-by-posts. I don't know how much you've led armies and stuff.
For the purposes of what will become eventually a podcast episode, I'm going to read the question. Katara asked, this seems mass combat has lots to do for the GM and the commander. Thoughts from the other 3 on the rules of mass combat? while I have played in a lot of Sif RP play-by-posts, I very rarely play someone who's actually going to lead an army. I'm usually playing some manner of feckless noble or something. I'm normally not being a leader. And when I have been a leader, it's not been like I'm someone who would actually be in the battle. So, because for me, combat's like the least interesting thing in a role-playing game. I'm much more about interpersonal interaction. It's much more my thing. But I know that combat, and certainly in this setting, grand scale combat is just part of the setting, and so kind of a necessary evil, even though I feel that that it just grinds everything to a really slow pace. I much prefer my combat to be kind of fast and dynamic, but it's really hard to do that when you've got so many moving parts. That having been said, I don't think it would do great justice to the setting to reduce these huge combats to like 1 or 2 rolls. I think that would be too far in the other direction. So I think I'm just not. I don't feel qualified to really know what the solution would be. But yeah, like this particular system's like even single combat can be quite time consuming in this system, and like the fact that we've only got through 1 round of actual warfare in this session is kind of, yeah, that's a lot. And I don't know, it gets into kind of shown in anime territory where fights take like 3 episodes and stuff. So it's like, it's not my thing, but I'm sort of prepared to get through it because it's just part of what we're doing. But I am looking forward to getting back to actual role playing.
Then Katara said, but with single combat, one character doesn't get 20 actions for everyone else's 1 action.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not going to resent Erica for being like our commander, because that's what her character's built towards. So that's fine. I don't mind supporting her in that.
I
Same.
don't have any issue. This one, 1 or 2 episodes, Erica doing a lot of the rolling. I mean, it's not that big of a deal to me.
And to me, it's better her than me. Ha!
It's fair enough. So
Yeah, like from my perspective, I do like wargaming quite a bit. I play a lot of tabletop wargaming games, so this like has that kind of feel, and the fact that it's like tied into like an actual like characters for us is a really interesting novelty that I don't usually get to experience with tabletop wargaming. And there's just a lot though that is not great, and I don't want to like belabor all of it, but it can be a little frustrating at times, and I'm sorry if I displayed that on this stream, but
It's fair though.
it's just
Like-
it's tough sometimes, because I just have to play the system as it is, and it's punishing for both sides. And my reaction, like as like a player, is like it's tough because I essentially like have to sacrifice units to do anything in this system,
And that could be on purpose.
yeah, it just
Actually what they consider, a feature instead of a bug.
it could be.
Yeah.
It
Like there's several things that again, just a new edition could fix a lot. Like one thing would be just like when you're playing like medieval Total War, you can click and drag and order 3 units at once, right? And like I feel like that should be an option here. Like, hey, Balin Swan, lead all 3 infantry units forward. Instead of it taking 3 orders for you to go, okay, you move forward. Just some of it's just little stuff.
I would say rolling just to get the unit to attack the guys attacking them. It seems
Right?
necessary.
Yeah, like it seems like some of that should come under just like automatic, and like and
Well,
that's the other
here's the
thing.
thing. You can give them a ready order, and they'll ready an attack, and they'll hang on to that until they get attacked if you set that as the trigger.
Right, but that means you then use the first round of combat. Like, the first several rounds of combat is both sides' leaders ordering everybody
Ready,
to
ready.
and to, so like some of it is that, but like what particularly irks me about that, like needing to give an order to defend yourself, is that I think step 9 at the very end is the perfect place for that, because you're still punished for not giving the order to attack, right? Like, they're still happening at the end after they've gotten disorganized or whatever.
Attack or whatever.
Yeah, but like to me that makes perfect sense for when to do the kind of pathetic counterattack of, oh shit, defend yourself, So there's just lots of like little things, and like Eric and I mentioned, you don't really get a bonus for having a really high warfare, except for initiative and the number of orders you give. But like, there's no bonus for giving a really good order at something. And even it was just like a passive, like a little +1 to their total. Like, it feels like that should be possible, like instead of it just being a completely binary pass-fail, where at the end of the day, I'm not picking on Adam, but or hell, even Oris with their 2d6 ultimately gives the same result of attack as the Vulture King with his 6d6 keep 5, right? And it just feels, parts of that are kind of weird. We were interested in our tabletop game at looking into the Song of Ice and Fire miniature game, and wondering how we could maybe integrate character stats into that.
Oh yeah, that'd be interesting.
And their
We
minis
did think about that.
their minis are fucking gorgeous. Like, I almost bought some of their minis just to have them to paint, but it also looks like a really cool game. Like, you actually have a social thing going on like a sideboard where like Tywin and Cersei and Sansa Stark and Peter Baelish are all talking shit, and like stuff happens on the battlefield based on that. So it's kind of cool how they integrate the social characters again. But yeah, like another edition of this game, could fix a lot of these issues. And I'll tell you, like, just for viewers right now, like, we're not gonna run this completely rules as written next time there's a battle. Like, we're gonna be house ruling some stuff, but I wanted to do it that way for at least this first big fight, because we are nominally in actual play and we're trying to, use the rules as written. And also, I think before house rules come into it, it helps to show why some of the house rules are necessary. I think so. We're just gonna suck it up this time. We're gonna abstract the order that some things happen in, and let things stand. But like, yeah, I don't think we're gonna do this exactly rules as written ever again for a mass combat.
Well, and the next round should go quicker. We have less forces.
Yeah,
I have
fewer units.
I have 2 fewer units, so 15 now. That's still a
So,
lot.
And he's got on the Vulture King side, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He's got 11 units still there. Like, some of them are disorganized and stuff, but yeah, like, it's just big. And that's the other, weird thing, is that half your army is doing stuff at a time. Like, he's got a ton of units that he just couldn't give orders to. And that's kind of weird to me. Like, you can't even tell them to do a shield wall or anything. It's so yeah, some of it's weird, but it is what it is. Overall, I absolutely adore just that it exists. Like, I love the integration of player stats on a character sheet, and I love like how you make your house and that affects your character's status, and then your character has warfare, and that affects the battlefield, which is also affected by how you made your house in the first place, because you've got a power score, and so I love the integration of stuff. And to me, like, that's why and how I fall in love with this system. It's just kind of the theories of the system are so amazing. It's just the practice of the system in actual play, we got some issues. We got any other questions from chat? Because if not, I think we're at just about 6. Even if we don't get questions from chat, any other thoughts? Let's just kind of do round robin. Erica, any thoughts? And who has thoughts next? We'll let you kind of do the reverse of our introductions. We'll do kind of outros.
Bayla's pleased and nervous. She's sad at the losses that have happened already, but she has some confidence that we can get the victory in the end.
Yeah, and you guys are definitely, you've definitely got the upper hand in body count so far. I think they still have more bodies on the field, but then it comes down to quality. So yeah, it certainly seems like it's swinging in House Nymaryen's, direction here.
Yeah.
Who's up next, Erica?
We'll go with Adam.
I mean, like, what do you mean, like thoughts on the current situation?
Yeah, just like how is Adam feeling here? A couple of volleys into his first battle.
Really fucking scared, honestly. Yeah, like the hits that we're taking have been probably pretty demoralizing, even though his own unit is untouched. But yeah, like I guess that's adding to the pressure of I'd better not come out seeming like all of what I said was empty words. So there's a kind of conflict of that growing fear but growing determination to not let that overtake.
Okay, do we want to go to Raina next or Luke? Your call, Adam.
Let's go for Luke.
Luke is probably a bit busy to think about the situation. He is covered in blood, surrounded by enemies. He has a unit that's fallen apart. He's grabbed another one. He's in the middle of melee combat. Adrenaline is pumping, but he is in good spirits.
He's doing okay, thanks. How about you guys? So yeah, he's had a busy day.
He's busy. He's got some bruises, but he's not injured yet. He lost a horse he's pissed about, but he's taking that out on people.
And how about the heir to the house, the Lady Raina?
Raina is just kind of running a little bit on autopilot, but she's also, I'm trying to decide because I don't really know how she is responding to this. It's a lot of carnage up close. I mean, a lot of carnage and bodies and screaming, and it's all kind of awful and terrible when you're right in the midst of it. And but I don't know how much she really is affected by it because she's Raina.
That's fair. She's just not going to worry about it yet.
I think what she's focusing on right now is continuing to cleave a path through whatever's ahead of her and her unit, and just that's all she can do right now. That's her duty, and that is what she will do. And then afterwards, we'll have to figure out if she's one of those crazy dragons or not.
And we don't need to figure that out right away. So all right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us today and seeing the awful bloodshed of murderous volleys of arrows, and then a charge followed by a countercharge, followed by a countercharge, followed by a countercharge. So like the bodies are really piling up over there. It has been a very busy first round of combat, and we are going to pick up in 2 weeks' time with the Lady Bayla getting ready to give the first orders of round 2. So thanks for hanging out with us, everybody.
Thanks,
Please
guys.
stay safe out there. We now not only have a global pandemic that we're not done with, we might act like we are, but we're not. And we also, of course, have you know, basically race riots and police and National Guard brutality, kind of border to border over here in the States. So everybody be careful out there. If you're going outside to do stuff, watch yourself. If you're going outside to march, extra watch yourself. Be nice to your neighbors, all that good stuff. Everything's pretty shitty right now, so let's try not to turn this joint into Westeros ourselves.